I'm glad to be back here after having a nice long discussion yesterday, and we definitely touched on the competitive nature of this patch, but we'll be getting a little bit more into it today here and getting the opinions of some professionals. The pro-pinions here, Breaky.
Wow.
New word.
Pro-pinions. Look at this guy. Look at this guy over here. All right, so as you can see, as far as our pro players that are going, well, over here, I guess, that are going to be joining us, we'll start things off. Sunder, of course, joining us. Sunder, how's it going, man?
It's going great. I don't know, it's just always nice to help out the community whenever I can, so glad to be here.
Definitely bring some good insight. And, you know, this patch, it's big, man. It's a big patch, big balance patch. So there's a lot on your mind, I'm sure, when it comes to a lot of these changes here, Sunder.
Yeah, there are. This is going to change a lot of how we play Hon competitively, and maybe just even TMM. Maybe it'll make people want to play more TMM again as well.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool to see. So with that said, of course, we are also joined by Moonmeander. Is here on the podcast with us. Moon, how's it going?
Good.
Good.
Great.
You finished streaming for the day?
No.
No, you're going after.
Yeah. Yeah. But I gotta end it early after that because I gotta do some stuff with my mom because she's a little party. Gotta bring her around town.
Awesome. It's good. It's good to do. Good to do. Speaking of this patch, though, patch 3.3 that we have, same thing was that I was talking about. I mean, this is a big patch, man. So I heard that you were even going over it kind of in depth today, kind of breaking down some numbers.
Yeah. We were talking about. I was going through it in my stream, and I actually have like a Element user was on my stream, and he was linking me like mechanics of the Ion Stone, and I found a little neat thread about Spell Sender and how much damage it actually does. And also, I had some chance to try out some of the items today, so
Nice.
yeah.
Nice. Yeah, no, obviously we'll be getting especially into the items a little bit later on. But first we want to start with more on the hero side. And so I think it's safe to say, again, we just want to really jump right into it. Again, just like yesterday, guys, going to be a very similar format. We'll start with the heroes. We'll eventually get into the items. We're gonna kind of, now, obviously, we're not going to go over every single change by any means. There really is just so much in this patch. We're going to try to, go over more of the bigger ones, perhaps ones that could affect the competitive scene specifically. And we'll definitely try to keep it to that here and get some discussions going with that. So let's kick it off. Let's kick it off here. The first one on the list, actually, is going to be kind of making a comeback perhaps on the competitive scene, maybe. Artillery. Not only this change happening, a big thing too, he's also being reintroduced back into the competitive scene. Of course, he got some, he's been a rework to say the least when it comes down to his skill set. As far as this, as well as LRM actually also taking a little bit of a change here. Each rocket now deals less damage the further away you are from the center of the rocket impact. So, again, this is the one change that happened to be in this patch, but actually, more so, I want to get your guys' opinion, both Moon and Center especially, in terms of this new hero. I mean, again, this is a reworked hero coming back to the competitive scene now. What do you think is going to happen? Sender, we'll start with you.
I don't know, I think the hero is stronger than he was before. I'm not exactly sure what this nerf means. I don't know if what that means to the hero. Is his damage lower? I was told it makes it harder to farm creeps, but
yeah.
I think he's a pretty scary hero. He has 2,000 range. Anything with that long range is just hard to play against, and I definitely think we'll see him back in the competitive scene.
Yeah, Moon, what about you?
I think that it's gonna be kind of funny seeing artillery in a competitive scene where you see an artillery killing Congo from a 2K range away.
Or defending their base towers.
Defending their base tower from the fountain, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing, man. It's just about the fountain, really, when you think about it. I mean, it's
I think this hero is going to be a huge impact on the competitive scene. It's not going to be god tier pick.
Yep.
I actually think it's going to replace which hero? I would think it's a little like Dampier.
That's what I was gonna say.
Okay.
If
Well,
if the enemy team picks a really passive jungle like Tempest, or let's say they do a really passive lineup and they cannot go long lane, and you pick Dampier, you get away with picking Dampier. Same thing, if you pick Artillery and you give him free farm in this metagame, I think Artillery with free farm, he's gonna work wonders. However, if you go and lane against Artillery, he's kind of a weak laner, and I can actually see Artillery getting like crapped on if
Yeah.
the opponent decides to go long lane. But if he gets free farm, I think he's just gonna dominate the game, and yeah, so it's gonna be dangerous first picking a hero. At the same time, if you can get away with picking a hero, he's gonna work wonders with your team.
I mean, if it's similar to Damp, well, Beef, I'll let you kind of chime in here because you were saying that you were maybe going to bring up Dampier.
Yeah, it's just that's the kind of hero that he is. He needs a little bit of protection, but once he gets going, I mean, there's not really a whole lot of stopping to him. And especially with the changes of his ability, since he was reworked, he is going to be able to get a little bit more active at about that same time that maybe a Portal Key Dampier might start to exert some pressure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he can get active at level 6. He can kill, can gank from 2,000 range at safely. So the heroes are pretty. You can be active if you just don't got to focus on not dying. Mm-hmm. And a really fun aspect of the hero is like he's a hero that you can go Doombringer on. Like that's considered like core in TMM at least. Mm-hmm. I don't know in a competitive match, but like
I never thought I'd hear that. I mean, a core item being a Doombringer. That's pretty ballsy right there. But hey, if any hero, it does seem like Artillery's the one, right? With his range and how he's just all about city. Are you guys worried that with the change? I mean, as far as counter push goes, and could this hero be too crazy? I mean, too powerful in that sense, or you just think it's kind of that Dampier effect where if you stop him, then you're going to be good to go? Ascender or Moon, whichever one.
I think like okay, if I have Artillery on my team and he has complete free from. And the other team has like Tempest, Keeper, and they have Soul Reaper safe lane. I actually won't be that scared if my artillery is at 600, 700 GPM when they push my base 20 minutes in. Or maybe 500 GPM, because he might have a Shroud, Ghost Marchers, and that can clear a whole creep wave in itself.
Yeah.
With a low cooldown LRM, I can actually see that all these all-in push threats be heavily countered by artillery.
Yeah, all-in push seems pretty bad versus artillery. You'd have to probably run like a Tricore or like maybe like gankers like Fade and Grinix. I don't know, but like definitely push. Like artillery counters push.
Straight up.
Mm-hmm. And he's a late game carry, so
exactly.
Yeah.
But one of the weaknesses of artillery is he can't really step outside his base if he buys a Doombringer.
Especially, yeah.
Yeah, but if you fight inside the base, I can see artillery having a huge impact with hour-long Honcast games of artillery. And people would just blind man artillery just get him out of the way.
Yeah.
He's an irritating hero.
Yeah,
sure.
He's definitely going to be one of those, he's just annoying to play against heroes. There's no doubt in that. I mean, with the skill set, so... It's going to be fun to see again with the rework up and what it's going to bring to the table, and we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, again, this patch already hitting, the Ultimate Series happening this week, and Han Tour doesn't happen until after, of course, the New Year, but when that comes around especially, going to be fun to see where that lands. But
the real question here is, will this bring back Yolem? Sender, what do you think?
Well,
Did he really go anywhere? I mean, he's playing under different aliases, to be fair. I don't know if he actually disappeared.
I don't think he's really ever quit, but
well, he's disappeared off my radar.
Okay.
I mean, he was pretty good with artillery, but honestly, the way you play the hero is different now. Like, it's not the same. Like, sure, the LRM's kind of similar, but like the ultimate was a big difference. You could really get into the fight with the LRM and make a lot of crazy plays. I mean the rocker with the R button. I'm sorry, what was the old one?
The one where he pushes you back and.
You could really get into the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. That's a great escape for him, but no longer. No, I mean that's the biggest difference. Obviously, he no longer has that like crazy escape. He sits really far back. That's the idea, at least. All right, but yeah, definitely want to keep moving here. Again, we got plenty to talk about. So let's move on to the next one on the list. And now this is an interesting one because this isn't necessarily a competitively crazy hero that we've seen all too often, but maybe with this change, maybe. And we talked about this yesterday. It's fun. It's just been a popular one. Blood Hunter, of course, is who I'm referring to. His new Omnom, his Feast ability, getting reworked, can now activate this ability to instantly kill a creep. At level 4, you can kill any creep. Before that, it's just the smaller ones, kind of like how Tempest works, obviously. So, but this is also maybe give them help in that 1v2 laning sense, and also kind of like that Dark Lady effect, where she could still get some decent farm with her Taint Soul. This kind of being that with a feast. So, Sender, we'll start with you again. I mean, Blood Hunter, what do you think about this?
I'm not really sure if it makes him viable, but like when I see this ability, I see it as like a really good for team fights because you're in a team fight, the enemy's trying to kill you, and then you just use this ability on like a nearby creep, and you're back at like it's not full HP, but it's 40% more, right?
A lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. So I feel like I don't know if it makes him viable, but I think it's going to be a lot helpful or a lot more helpful to team fights and keeping him alive. So maybe, but I can't really say.
Yeah. Moon, what about you?
Skip me first. Go to beef. I'm trying some mechanics right now before I do it.
Okay.
Fair enough.
I mean, the thing I think about when we talk about Bloodhunter competitive scene is going to be Nox. Nox used to play a lot for QSQ, would play him in that solo short lane, and the way that I think about it is you shut down a Bloodhunter by getting aggressive on him. He simply doesn't do well, and once again, like I said yesterday, this is going to enable him to have another option if he does get shut down. I mean, Sunder, what do you think about the viability of you go up against an aggressive pseudo tri-lane or even a strong tri-lane, and then you're able to go into the jungle and then start getting a little bit of farm that way?
I mean, yeah, that would make sense. Like, if you wanted to sacrifice your Bloodhunter and have, like, say, your jungler go to their woods, I don't know. It's just like with this ability, like, maybe I'm just not thinking the right way, but I just feel like I want to see it play out first before I say like theory crafting.
Yeah.
The whole jungling idea too is definitely interesting. I know people are bringing that up, but hey, I'm sure that's definitely going to be a TMM thing. But again, as far as competitively viable, I don't know. I mean, Moon is you done with the testing yet, or are you still working on that?
1 sec. Almost done.
Can you tell us what you're testing even, or is it just going to be a...
Okay, I'm gonna...
Working on the new
Oh
feature
my
ability.
god.
Oh my
Okay.
god. Okay, well, what's going on?
You can eat puzzle box minions with level 1 feast. Or level
Really?
2. Yeah.
What?
Yep. I don't know. I think that should be nerfed.
Puzzle
I
box
just tried
3?
it.
Let's,
Level 1.
Level 1 puzzle box, okay.
Yeah, and you can eat the Catman Soldier at level 1 feast as well. You cannot
Really?
eat a hunter with level 1 feast. You need level 4 feast of Wild
Are you
Hunters
sure
and
about the Catman champion?
the Catman Soldier?
Soldier.
Oh, Soldier. I'm sorry, okay.
Soldier level 1 feast can
Yeah,
eat.
it's the
Catman
same-
champion level 4.
It's the same as the Tempest mechanic, right? I mean, I believe that's what
Yeah,
it's supposed to be.
basically
Okay.
same as Tempest. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly same as Tempest. So anything Tempest can convert, level 1, you can eat it level 1. And
Yeah.
but level 4 can eat everything.
Yep.
Level 1, 4 feast you can eat puzzle box, but it doesn't really matter because you're gonna level 4 feast by the time the
Yeah.
achievement box. And yes, you can eat the puzzle box, and you eat puzzle box. That's pretty insane. Cause so that means like against Parasite you don't buy puzzle box, against Blanta you don't buy puzzle box.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can see Blanta working in competitive scene only against some specific suicide heroes, for example, Wretched Hag and Bubbles, because Blanta are just gonna straight out CS those range suicides, because Blanta counters range heroes in laning phase, especially if you're in a safe lane, and if the feast ability is gonna make laning even easier, and he's just gonna rape Bubbles, which is what Nox loves doing, as you guys brought it up, so yeah.
True.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, that's gonna be fun to see. You know, again with the changes like this, I'm sure as we find, you know, they're gonna be monitoring it, but that's gonna be interesting to see if that's actually gonna be really looked at in terms of is that even should that be? I mean, do you think that should be allowed, or is your first opinion like that should probably be looked at, the fact that I can eat a puzzle box minion?
I think it should be looked at because Tempest can convert puzzle box minions.
Okay, if that's the case, then yeah, there's definitely some good reason for that. So interesting. But competitive viableness, is that something for you, Moonmeander? I mean, for
Yeah,
Bloodhunter here?
I think it's definitely viable.
Yeah. Perhaps has a spot. All right. We'll see. The new Bloodhunter changes. So next one I want to bring up here. Again, I don't want to go over every single one of these changes because we do have a limited time here. So I think it's safe to say, well, let's talk about Electrician here. Let's talk about Electrician because he's got some pretty good buffs here in this patch. Electrician, his electric shield, actually the mana cost to activate decreased from 10 to 5, so the revert there. Cleansing shock, mana cost from 50 to 20. Cooldown all the way down to 8 seconds at level 3 and less at every single level, and now instantly kills illusions and summoned units, aka a Malphus counter, basically. So
And puzzle box.
and Puzzle Box, that's true. Speaking of Puzzle Box, another reason to not pick up Puzzle Box against another hero. Electrician, you know, we talked about this yesterday. Keep the Force obviously being so popular, you know, after this patch. We'll talk about that later on, but great ability with this Purge, being able to get teammates himself out of abilities like that. Is Electrician any bit viable, Sender?
I don't know. I think The last time we saw Electrician was before he got nerfed a lot, and the hero was starting to fade a bit, but he was still pretty popular. Maybe in the right lineup. I don't really know. I'm not really certain on this one. He doesn't do that much damage. I mean, his damage is okay in the early game, but he doesn't scale the greatest. You kind of need like a shrunken head to like. That's kind of your role, and you just like grip someone.
Yeah.
So maybe, but I'm not sure.
Moon, what are your thoughts?
I think Electrician is one of the strongest laners, 1v1. Picked it for me specifically. Just against if he knows the 1v1 matchup, because he knows it wins against almost every safe lane, even Bloodhunter. And I don't think this is a strong enough reason to pick him. Just because there's so much just because people are just picking all this like mobile heroes like Hag and Bubbles. Electrician doesn't really counter. Yeah, he has the grip and all, but it's not really a reliable stun because you can get stunned and then your grip's useless. What they do, you know? Plus, you don't really level it up in the early levels, and he's not really one of those suicides with great rune control like Hag, Bubbles, and Grinex and Scout, where you just run to the rune and grab it. So he takes some time to get to the rune. So it's a step in the right direction for sure, but viable, yes. God tier pick. No.
I don't know if we're going that far, but
I think maybe if you found like a game where like the Purge is really good in that specific game, maybe the hero could be that'd probably be
why
where,
not
like,
against a Keeper
pick.
then? Like Keeper again goes back to being the obvious one. We've seen him all the time, but is that not enough of a reason to do it?
Maybe if it was like a suicide Keeper and like I could see like two situations maybe with a Keeper involved is like say if it's like a jungle Keeper and you want to send like a long lane Electrician who probably can't die, like he probably just won't die at all in the laning phase and he'll get quite a bit. Or maybe if they're sending like a suicide Keeper, you want a short lane Electrician, but the thing is then you're short laning Electrician and you're not putting like a carry or like some like ganker with like getting a lot of farm. But those are two situations I could maybe see it being picked up.
Beef, anything to add or any questions to bring up?
I mean, I just want to talk about what Sunder said there. I mean, if you're putting the Electrician into the short lane, you're just not going to be getting enough benefit out of that. You're funneling so many resources. You're funneling your safe position there, and you need that hero to really come out and make an impact. And I think that Electrician's really just going to be hit and miss in that case. And I'm still not convinced we're going to be seeing this hero on the competitive scene, even with these changes.
Yeah.
Maybe if like the competitive scene returned to like a pub train push, like kind of metagame, that he could be viable because he's kind of good in that kind of game. But in the right now, when like we're playing a bunch of split push and the game's going longer and longer, he won't be picked up right now.
Yeah. Well, we'll see with that. Again, the Purge I've always thought to be very powerful against you, like with the Force and whatnot, but yeah, it's more so fitting in the laning phase, it sounds like, and really finding a spot for him, especially earlier on. But so those changes going through. Next one on the list, I know this is kind of our first bigger one, to say the least, in terms of could very, very likely have an impact on the competitive scene. Let's move on to Engineer. Engineer, of course, I'm talking about. Beef, never too happy about this. But he got changes all around, starting with this keg, of course. The mana cost increased, the damage rescaled to be lesser at lower levels, the steam turret slow duration from 5 to 3 seconds, and then on top of that, his energy field finally taking the hit. Cooldown from 85 seconds flat to 105, 95, and then 85 at level 3. So Engineer definitely getting addressed here. Sunder, support player yourself. Well, both of you support players even. But Sunder, what are your thoughts on this Engineer here?
You know, honestly, I wasn't a fan of this nerf just because I feel like the hero's waning already before the patch yet. And maybe the numbers didn't quite show it, but he was seeing less play because he was passing through like the first 3 picks and getting banned in the second phase a lot more.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't think he'll kill the hero per se, but he definitely won't be picked up in the first 3 probably much more. Not a lot anyways, because his laning phase will be reduced a little bit, and when the game is already shifting away from the mid lane, and you don't really want Ingi when you're not doing a dual lane mid. So I think the hero will still be played. It's just he won't be the god tier support anymore.
Yeah, kind of taken off at that level. Moonmeander, what about your thoughts?
I personally think that I agree with Sunder here. The hero is kind of waning a little bit, and this nerf is just gonna make him even picked up less. However, he's gonna be picked up situationally, where like let's say you have a Pebbles on your team or Fit and you want that combo, you pick Engineer so you can do the Keg Turret combo. And I think that's how support should be picked up situationally. Let's say you want to go for a push lineup, you pick Rhapsody. You want to go for an aggressive ganker style where you want to catch people, you pick Glacius. And if you want to just safe lane support, you pick Witch Slayer. And now if you want to pick a dual stun lineup, which is really strong, you pick Engineer. So previously Engineer was just picked because you're just so damn strong. No matter what the occasion, no matter what hero you have, you just pick Engineer, works in every lineup. But now I think he's in a nice spot, and I think this was good. Especially the energy field, it needed a nerf from the cooldown for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah, now that was the one ability for me. It's like, unless that gets touched, I still think Engineer is just going to be a very, very top tier support pick choice. And, you know, it definitely got hurt here in this patch. So, Beef, you want to reiterate anything that you said yesterday even, or bring up something else?
mean, pretty much I said the same thing as Sunder yesterday, that the hero is already on the decline. I think this is not going to be a nail in the coffin by any means, but exactly what our guys said here. They're the competitive players. They're the smart ones for a reason. He's going to be picked up situationally from now on, and that's all there is to it.
And that's fine, I think. I think that's safe to say. I mean, as Moon was just saying there, you know, the fact that he's not that god tier supporting that's fine. I mean, it's just more for that dual lane mid. Needs a double stun lane, so.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense. All right, so that's Engineer right there. Moving on to the next one. I think it makes sense here to another major change and big one here. Let's move on to, of course, let me pick him up. We'll start with Keeper of the Forest. Keeper of the Forest. KOTF of the Forest. He definitely got some hits, specifically for that suicide rule. Maybe even for the jungle as well. Get your thoughts on that. Nature's Veil, health regen from 4 to 3. Mana cost 60 to 70. Animate Tree, of course, the spawning of the minions right there. Health from 600 to 550, and then the minions' move speed even reduced down to 300 from 325. So we'll change it up a little bit. Moon, we'll start with you on this one. Keeper of the Forest. What's the deal here? You like these changes? You don't like them? What is it?
He's just gonna be from god tier suicide to I would say same level as, like, he's just not gonna be I don't know what level is that? I would say about Tundra. Tundra level.
Okay.
Really? You think Tundra level?
Yeah, he's gonna be really weak in no, how would say Hag level?
Wouldn't you put him at like a little bit under War Beast? Like, I feel like you play the same way as War Beast. You just use the pulls to get levels.
The difference between a War Beast and a Keeper, though, like, it's really hard to pull with Keeper minions because they're so slow. War Beast minions move at 400 move speed, you know, and now it's 300 move speed, so it's even gonna be harder to pull with Keeper, you know. Like, getting it there is hard enough. Not only that, Keeper minions last way shorter than War Beast minions. War Beast minions last forever.
Something I want to add, by the way, I forgot to put in the image. Even arguably the biggest thing of it, too, his starting armor was reduced from 3.1 to 1.1, of course. So
yeah, exactly.
I forgot to put that in. Yeah, that's obviously a very big deal, too. So
the Keeper's strengths was being able to tank enemies' auto attacks with Stout Shield because you have such a high 3.1 armor. You have a retarded amount of base attack damage because of high base strength, and on top of that, with a hatchet, you're gonna get almost every single CS. You play around the trees, you invert yourself, and you keep hitting. You can tank the harass because you have Nature's Veil. With this nerf, you're gonna see Keeper drop a huge ton of value in terms of suicide. However, his jungle was nerfed slightly, but he's still gonna be a really strong jungler. I can see it working only as a jungler. As a suicide, I think no one's gonna really pick him as Keeper suicide anymore.
What if the other team is doing like defensive dual lanes? Do you think you'd see Keeper suicide then? Like just in pull and try to get experience, or?
I guess he could do that, but he's just gonna lose the lane a lot of the times.
Well, yeah, obviously it won't be as good, but don't you think it'll be better than some other options? Like, there's not that many heroes you can put long lane versus 2 and get experience and gold.
I guess, but
I feel like
minions could die though when you pull. It's like 550 health and 300 move speed. I can easily see it being killed by a lot of
That's
things.
the thing that I'm thinking too. Yeah, the minion's not being as effective for pulling it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Keeper was picked because he was going to be able to get farm in almost any situation up there, and that's simply not the case anymore. You get that early farm, and then he's able to get into those stickier situations, farm the enemy jungle, continue getting the farm. He was only effective as a hero once he gets your portal key or your restoration stone, and then he needs just a ton of farm to be effective in the mid and late games. And I feel like with these changes, he's not going to be able to get that initial farm as effectively, which is going to affect him throughout the game. And I think it's going to be a really big hit to his suicide potential.
Yeah. As a jungler potential, I do think he's insanely strong jungler. This is not gonna. Doesn't matter about this nerfs. He's still gonna be an overall great hero because his skill set is just amazing.
Yeah.
And once if you can get away with keeper jungle, chances are you're gonna have a really good shot at winning the game. So, yeah.
So you still see him as far as the junglers go. I mean, you definitely value him as one of the top 4, top 5 junglers out there. I mean, up there with
but
the
I don't
Ophelia
think we're gonna
the
see
person.
keeper first pick anymore. Because
Yeah.
keeper first pick, and then if he runs suicide keeper, you'd be like, oh whatever, he's just gonna get stomped. But if it's in the keeper jungle, and the enemy team first picks keeper, and then maybe the game transition to people only pick keeper jungle, we immediately know they're gonna go keeper jungle. We can just dual lane, long lane, and completely crush them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna be dangerous to first pick now. So I don't think he's gonna get picked up in the first 3 picks. Maybe initially he will, but I think it's gonna drop off over time.
Yeah. That's what usually. Yeah. Sunder, sorry.
So something else to keep in mind is the in the last patch the keeper first pick was really strong because it forced the other team to pick Tempest like in their first pick. And now say if keeper isn't viable as a suicide hero, that means they don't have to snatch up the Tempest right away. They can get something else because you're not threatening the keeper Tempest jungle suicide lane anymore.
Yeah, that's just a good point. Yeah, it's a really good point. No more keeper Tempest God tier combo anymore.
They both got hit, man. And
Yeah.
I think that was obviously very intentional, to say the least, when it came down to it. So definitely heroes that have been around for the longest of time, and those two are just counteract one another. So, all right, I think that's good on Keeper of the Forest, though. Again, overall, his suicide potential maybe not as strong now, but still definitely has that jungle capabilities, and we'll see where he's picked up now after these changes. So, moving on here to the next one. Now, this is a fun one because this is a hero that isn't really at all seen on the competitive scene, but holy crap, after this patch, maybe, Kinesis is, of course, who I'm referring to here. In fact, we were just talking about him before we actually went live here, and it seems like it's pretty good consensus here that this guy got some good buffs. Telekinetic control getting increased all around. Cast time down to from 200 to 0. Can lift and throw while moving. Increased radius in which you can pick up trees from 600 to 800. His inherent defense got kind of changed to an extent. 0.25 movement speed per point of the shield. Always base 10 movement speed. And then mass control for duration of activation. All lifted objects will follow Kinesis at haste speed pretty much. So can go anywhere with him. Guys, Kinesis. Are we going to start seeing Kinesis as a top-tier pick on the competitive scene? Sender, what are your thoughts on these changes?
I mean, it's really strong. The hero is already a really strong laner and provided a lot of kill potential in 1v1, 1v2, and now a lot of his weaknesses, he just got stronger. A big weakness before is what you can portal key or TP after using your ultimate, and now I think you can even TP somewhere and it follows, right?
At 522 movement speed. So
Right,
if you TP across the map, it's going to take 10 seconds.
But
20
you're
seconds
still
or
getting
something.
it, at least.
Yeah, it still goes.
Doesn't the mass control wear off after a few seconds?
Well, okay, maybe not with the TP, but like say if you're portal keying somewhere,
Portal key, yes.
and it's just your ultimate will just be a lot more alive than it used to be, and I didn't really play Kinesis myself, so I don't know exactly what each of these changes means for the hero. Maybe Moon would be better fit, but I definitely see the hero being picked a lot.
Speaking of Moon, what are your thoughts on Kinesis?
I would say he could be picked up only with the dual lane meta game. I think it's kind of dying out slowly where people tend to put one hero middle, especially Kraken or Hag. Kinesis is gonna stomp those heroes, and Kinesis is one of those heroes where if you put him safe lane, he's gonna rape the safe lane suicide a lot. However, it's not a carry. If you put him mid, he's really good. Suicide, he's kind of questionable because people do dual lane safe lane and he kind of gets raped by that. However, these buffs might make him viable in a sense that he's strong, but I don't think he's gonna be a god tier pick. Like he's not gonna be picked up in the first 3 picks. I think he's gonna be like a puppet master where he just boom picked it like that, you know. And a thing to note that I think it's gonna make Kinesis more viable is because of spell shards. Because previously, people against all this bursty spell heroes like Thunderbringer, Kinesis, hashtag vestments. Okay, we counted the hero, haha.
Yeah.
But not really, because with your spell shards, you have the value of vestments, and he does a ton of damage. Like I played a couple of bursty in heroes today, and I just we'll talk about spell shots later. But yeah, I think Kinesis yeah, he's pretty strong. I think he'll be on a scale of 1 to 10. I'll put him 4 on suicide, 9 out of 10 in 1v1 middle. Safe lane will be 7 out of 10. Because I rather have a safe lane carry.
So suicide, you don't value him too highly then.
No, especially when people like dual lane safe lane. I know you can lift the creep and get lane control, but you are really easy diveable. Like it's really easy to kill you.
Okay.
Wait, B, if you wrote in chat, Kinesis can't lift his own creeps anymore. Is that real?
I'm having a discussion with a guy, the Mexi here in chat, who's saying that if you lift creeps, they teleport back to the creep wave when they fall. Which I have no clue if this is a troll or not, so that's why I was keeping it in chat. I'm talking with Pandaruhu as well right now, trying to figure out if that's true or not.
Yeah, he'd be the one to definitely confirm with, but I don't remember seeing anything about that, so that's interesting though. If that's the case, then yeah, that definitely takes away from his suicide potential for sure. So, all right.
Yeah, we got people looking into it.
Cool. We got the people looking into it. We'll have information on that in the near future then. But yeah, Kinesis, I mean, I've always been very impressed by his burst damage a few times that we have seen, of course, Jetpins, and they definitely pops up a lot of the time when we happen to bring up Kinesis. So it's fun to watch in players like that plays it like that, especially. So, but we'll see. We'll see what that comes down to. A lot of people are calling troll in chat, so who knows? We'll get that confirmed, though. Moving on to the next one here. Next hero to talk about, and I figure actually I want to touch on this guy because, you know, there's always been a lot of talk about this guy. We've only seen him come a couple times, and he's getting some more changes, though, some more buffs specifically. Bringing up Oogie here. Oogie. He's getting some more buffs, so is this the time maybe we start seeing him pop up more? We'll see Tarquake, mana cross intervals after every cast from 40 to 30, Kindled Fury, the cooldown reduced to a flat 8 seconds, mana cooldown reduction from 100 to 75 mana, and then the Primal Surge's ultimate, of course, that cooldown was reduced at both the first and the second level. The first level especially down from 80 to 60 seconds, only a minute-long cooldown on that ultimate, which is a pretty damn strong ultimate. Oogie. Is it time for Oogie to be coming back, or making a splash even on the competitive scene? Moonmeander, what are your thoughts on these Oogie changes?
I think it's a little bit too much, honestly. Especially with the buffs with Sacrificial Stone being pretty strong right now. And
You mean, not Sat, you mean,
Icon?
Icon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do that all the
Icon.
time as well.
And then, especially with like all this, like let's say any team has a hag or bubbles, and then you pick a sheep stick up an Oogie or frostwood plate, and those items are really good. And Grimoire power, all these items work so well with Oogie. And the only reason why we didn't really see Oogie was because I think people were going on about Oogie being overpowered, and in one game someone picked Mage Bane versus Oogie, and then he just died. I thought the scene completely after one Mage Bane game. So I think he's gonna return. But I think we're going to see the return of Mage Bane as well, along with Oogie. This is my guess.
Is it worth it then?
Everyone's going to be like, Oogie, 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 oh, Oogie is so strong. And then after like one game later, pick Mage Bane and then the Boner is killed, just like that, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe you could pick Oogie as Hellborn and the third pick and ban Mage Bane. Huh?
Yeah,
How
there
about
you
that?
go. Some next level strats from Moonmeander right there.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Oogie was a hero that even like before this patch was pickable. I think he had a lot of room to be picked. It's just sometimes, you know, you just don't do it. You don't see the right game for the hero, or maybe you just don't want to do the risky play. But you know, this could be potentially really like too much of a buff for the hero.
Yeah.
The hero is pretty hard to deal with if he gets the farm. And he's pretty scary. Like he does a lot of damage. He's hard to kill, and I don't know. Personally, I thought we'd see him in the last, like, before this patch, so I definitely think we'll see him in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for me too, it's like I feel like these are kind of some of these changes where it's like they maybe even know he is a very powerful hero already, but it's like no one's using it on the competitive scene, and I don't know his TMM stats by any means either. So it's kind of like, guys, this hero's really strong. Here, we're going to even buff him up a little bit to get some interest, and then you'll realize the true power. Because especially with Icon of the Goddess, as you were pointing out, Moonmeander taking off, I mean, that is a go-to item on a hero like Oogie for sure. The spell shards change, obviously. The spell Sunder even, which we'll talk about later on, being introduced. So there's a lot of reasons why Oogie could perhaps be making a splash on the competitive scene even. And I agree. Maybe it could even be too much in the end, but we'll see on that. Beef, what about you? What do you think on that?
If Moon thinks it's too much, then maybe it's too much. I think it's good changes, man. I think that it's really going to encourage people trying to pick up Oogie. I might have to go AFK. There's some weird sounds going on outside. But before I do,
okay.
I did get independent confirmation that Kinesis is working like that. Yeah, it's teleporting the creeps back to the creep wave.
Is that intended?
If it's intended, his suicide potential is dead. If it's not intended, I'm sure they'll get it fixed soon enough.
So that wasn't from Panda then. That was from somebody else then. Okay.
No, I've seen confirmation in chat and I just tested it myself.
And I really wonder if that's intended, because maybe people were just abusing it to a point where they had to. I don't know. That's weird though. Huh.
I'm not sure.
We'll see on that.
I think maybe they had to do that because maybe people could lift creeps up and throw it at the neutral camp or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's one thing I think of where they were actually abusing it to the point of like it was.
Yeah. Oh, let's throw it to the ancients real quick.
Yeah. Well, I know there was the whole like Kongor thing in the very beginning when he was first like coming out, and you could throw the whole creep into the Kongor basically at least a couple.
Oh yeah.
Like deny him right off the bat, so it's kind of crazy, So
that was low imbalance.
Yeah, that was probably a little too over the top. So yeah, it'd be nice to get some confirmation on that though, what the true deal is there. All right, so obviously Beef had to go somewhere, but hey, we got Moon and Cinder still. That's what matters. Okay, so that's Oogie. Anything else to add to Oogie?
Not Oogie in particular, but I wanted to make sure we get back to Midas before you move forward.
Did I skip over Midas? We did. Yeah. Let's actually go ahead. Let's bring up Midas real quickly. So, it was the ultimate, of course. Midas being changed. His ultimate transmute may now be leveled at 4, 8, and 12 instead of 6, 11, 16. So again, kind of the Revenant change here. So Sender, clearly you're interested in this.
Yeah, like before the patch, I thought Midas had some strength just because the game was shifting away from the dual lane mid, and he was a hero that you could put up against a dual lane and also just do well in a 1v1.
Mm-hmm.
And he was good against push lineups, and there's a lot of push in the game. So I thought maybe he'd start getting picked up, but now with this change, I think it's pretty strong. Just you get your stun at level 4, and then you just do more damage. So I definitely think the hero has a lot of viability in terms of solo mid, maybe even suicide potential, or even short lane potential.
Yeah. Moon, do you have any thoughts on Midas there as far as that ultimate change?
Yeah, I played him today at 30 overkills. Especially with spell shards, that he was ridiculous. I was gonna say retarded, but yeah, I just did so much damage. Even against a Devourer Shaman's Headdress, spell shards just completely makes all the spellcasters just insane. Especially along with this Midas buff, where he gets ulti really early, I could dish out an insane amount of damage at level 12 with level 3 ultimate, and just bring the pain, especially with spell shards. And yeah, I think he's gonna be picked up, especially I can see it do wonders in the hands of Jonas and Fan, especially when he has his third spell to get runes. So yeah. Definitely gonna see him a lot.
What do you guys think of this concept, though? Like, again, when Revenant, when I first saw that Revenant change, I was like, "Whoa, that's sacred grounds, man! You're changing the ultimate level of the hero. What the hell? What do you guys think of that?"
I mean, I'm pretty sure it was my idea on Revenant, so I'm gonna say I'm pretty sure. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was my idea, so I was behind it, obviously.
Yeah. Okay. So it sounds like then, of course, you have no problem with that, the idea of changing that. So.
I think it's fine. I think that it's not really it's different if Wishlet is ulti at level 4 compared to heroes like Midas and Revenant, where the level 1 ulti it's good, but it's not the strongest, and it requires synergy with his other spells. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I think that it's not wrong doing it because other games have done it in the past. For example, there's some heroes in League of Legends even with no ulti, you just have 4 skills. Yeah. Not even kidding. And I think it's kind of like that because now Midas is going to go to 1-1-1 build, where it's Q E W R is the skill build. So yeah,
who would have thought? Yeah, that's very true. That really is true. That's a viable build. That's a very viable build, of course.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely, again, kind of, you brought that with Kinesis, you brought that, like, and we'll talk about later on in full, like, the changes, but the changes to Spell Shards, the Spell Sunder introduction, Icon of the Goddess definitely taken off, Restoration Stone, that was one of the first heroes that came to mind when that Restoration Stone change happened. I mean, it's very, even with using all of your abilities on Midas, it's very little cooldown on the rest. I think it's something like 60, 65 seconds or something like that.
Yeah, I actually got it. In the game, I had 37 kills. I had a Resto Stone. I would just blink, combo, and then refresh and combo again, and I killed a.
You could technically stun 3 times if you do it, correctly with the pattern and everything. So
yeah, you have to actually Element User messaged me, and he told me that there's actually a little mechanic thing where every frame, if the enemy has the ultimate stun state on them, it dispels all region states every frame. That's why you can't chain CC people.
Oh, okay.
So basically, you have to do it and then wait for him to come out of the stun state and do it again.
Interesting.
So yeah, so you can't just keep him chain CC'd over and over. That'll be a little broken.
Pretty close though.
It's pretty close, yeah. As long as your timing is on the ball, pretty close. But yeah, no. Again, that's all on paper, like in a perfect world, by all means. So
yeah, obviously, if you do it, yeah.
But
it's really hard to do, yeah.
Yeah, no, Midas though, this change is it's I've been hearing and just you guys reiterating, it feels like this definitely has a lot of potential to make an impact here. Beef, anything to add there?
I missed the beginning of the discussion, but did anybody talk about Midas in a dual lane mid?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, Sunder was bringing it up.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's a thing, maybe.
I think Midas is going to be similar to Hag, where you can lane him in any lane.
Nice.
Yeah, that was my thought as well. So that's good.
By the way, we have an update on Kinesis. Pandaroo did mention it in Twitch, so let me scroll up real quickly. His words were, it's considered a bug for the time being, a side effect of making his ultimate work properly. So there you go. It is a bug, so it is in the game, but it is a bug, so that's at least so once that is, of course, fixed, then again, the suicide option is definitely there at least. But yeah, if that was the case, then by all means it wouldn't be viable. But so just to clarify on that. All right, so yeah, we went back to Midas right there. So we're talking about that. Okay, so now let's keep it going here, unless there's any that we're skipping over. Again, feel free to, if you feel like we're skipping over one that you guys really want to talk about, then by all means, bring that up. The next one on the list, though, Pestilence. I got Pestilence here. This is obviously a hero that really has splashed onto the scene, and he's basically a core hero now. In a lot of cases, he got some nerfs here. Strength gain from 2.8 to 2.5. Agility gain decreased 1.9 to 1.5. And then his gore actually taken some hit. Damage rescaled down, basically cut in half at every single level, all the way up to 40 damage. I mean, I'll let you guys obviously give your insight now first. Cinder, we'll start with you. Pestilence changes here.
Pesty is really strong. He was almost at the point where he was first pick worthy, just because when you have a hero that can initiate, lane well, and provide late game, he's always strong. Like, that's the reason why Pebbles was so strong. It's just, it got to a point in the game with the nerfs, you just couldn't, potentially lane him in the middle lane as well, so that's why he dropped off. And Pesty provides more. He provides the physical damage, and I have nothing against bringing the hero down a little bit. He's still going to be just as strong. He provides the same stuff. He has the speed, he has the stun, he has the minus armor. The gore change is a little bit questionable just because that's not really the issue with the hero, because by the time that's level 4, that's going to be, that's not the reason the hero is strong.
Yeah.
But, it's going to bring his damage down just a little bit.
It's a tone down, yeah.
Yeah. So there's nothing really wrong with it, but the hero is still really strong. It'll be picked up, even maybe first pick even. Yeah.
Moon, what about your thoughts on this Pesty change here?
I think it was needed, but I think they did the right choice of not over nerfing a hero, but taking it one step at a time and see where it goes from here. And I like that, because we just got introduced to Pestilence. I mean, he was always in the scene here and there, but he was never the first pick material. And I don't have any complaints against seeing Pestilence. And the old heroes like Pebbles and Magnus and Fate, kind of dying off and Pestilence taking their place, because we haven't really seen Pestilence a lot, and I would say even in a 2-3 months of Pestilence in competitive play, then yes, you can nerf the hero more if it's first pick material. Still, after this nerf, yeah, that's my thoughts.
I want to touch on what Sunder said. I mean, we kind of did get into this yesterday a little bit. Was the gore change? Like you're bringing up, it is kind of what it's still a 1.1 ability in the end. I mean, the percentage stun base is what really matters in the end. The 25%, how they made that static. I mean, that's the biggest deal. The damage output is a nice added effect, and yes, this is going to tone down his damage output definitely as the game progresses on. But is this what needed to happen to really tone down the hero overall? Now, again, there is the argument, and it sounds like you guys are on the page of, is he overpowered? Is he at a level where he really needs to get toned down? You know, probably not. He is definitely first pick material, even as you're pointing out, Moon. But you know, maybe a little bit more after this, after they figure out what's going on with it. But so that would be the one question that I would have concerning this change. But again, at least they are toning down the damage a little bit here. So, Beef, anything to add there?
Unfortunately, not. No. I feel like Ace Jr. from yesterday.
Good to go.
I'm the last guy on here, and I already gave all my opinions yesterday, so I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I have one more point to add. Is
Yeah.
personally, even with the old gore, I still think Pesty would be pretty viable, just because
Yeah.
the minus armor is really big, and the fact that sprint no longer deals damage to yourself is, in its fact, just like makes the hero pickable. Because before, you would jump in and you would die. That 20% damage is a big deal, and I don't know. I just feel like the hero's even strong without the gore buff, and I don't know if I'd want to see that get gotten rid of, because the 1 wonder at like level 11 is still pretty. That makes a big difference. So, but between like what was it, 10% to 25%, or
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it was like 10%. Yeah.
maybe bring it
Okay.
down a little bit to like 20%. But I don't. I like it being a high value.
Yeah.
All right. There we go, Pestilence. So yeah, well again, keep an eye on that and see how he still stands on the competitive scene, and perhaps more changes in the future. But all right, the next one on the list I got here is another hero that lately, you know, maybe not as much, but still, he is a prominent hero on the scene for sure. Ravener being addressed here. Definitely some hits in places. His intelligence getting taken down slightly. Base damage decreased. Ball Lightning, the mana cost made 110 at all levels instead of the less at the earlier levels. And then Stormblades, the mana cost kind of reworked there. In fact, increased at all levels by 10. So, you know, taking some hits across the board. Moon, we'll start with you. I think you might have some opinions on this one.
I really agree with this, but nerfs, even though it's a base damage decrease, it's not that big a deal because it's just a couple of numbers. His base damage is still insanely high compared to other heroes, and usually when you think of a strength hero, when you think of let me think. You play an agility hero, right?
Mm-hmm.
You think high armor, low HP, decent attack damage. When you play intelligence hero, you would think high base damage spells early game, weak attack range, weak armor. When you think strength hero, you think high HP, high damage, low armor, low mana. Revenor, high HP, high mana, high armor,
Has it all.
and you're fast.
Low mana
he
cost.
and low mana cost, and he has a base mana of like 300 at level 7, which is insane.
Yeah.
And like compare him to like Hammerstorm, where he casts one hammer, he's done. He's out of mana, you're done. Behemoth, one stun, maybe he has one more, like, and then you're done. Ravenor, Ball Lightning, Stormblades, you can cast it like twice, which needed to be nerfed. So now, with the base intelligence again decrease, and the Ball Lightning, Stormblades mana cost increase, you have to be smarter with your mana. You can't just throw Ball Lightnings out, you know? Like Devourer, you hook, you're done. Prisoner, you hook, you're done. Ball Lightning, now you Ball Lightning, you're done. Which should be, it should be like that.
Is he done?
Yeah, he's more done than before, but he's not quite as done as a hook.
Like
Devourer,
before,
you know?
like Ravener Inji, you could like use your spells level 1 and then have both spells up at level 2. So like that was a much needed nerf on those two heroes, and I like what they did with it. Sorry they cut off Moon a bit, but
yeah.
No, it's fine. I think this is how.
Yeah.
He's a needed nerf, but this doesn't mean he's garbage. His damage output is still the same. His damage maybe a little bit of base damage less, but his magic damage spell is still gonna be insanely high. He's still gonna be mobile, and maybe you just gotta pick up.
Like a blood chalice or something like that.
Wait,
early
no.
on.
Well, Moon, I was thinking, do you think this might like make him more of like a return to like just like a DPS or like just damage, not maybe like the maybe not like a portal key build anymore?
Yeah, I think instead of a portal key build, you're gonna need to get like the newly buffed Sanitarius. How about that?
Maybe like
Maybe add a power supply to compensate for the mana.
Or maybe the Spell Sunder item that got
Oh,
introduced.
no,
It's
no,
really
not
crazy
Spell
on him.
Sunder.
well, my point was like he's not going to snowball in the dual lane
Yeah.
mid as much as he used to. So maybe he'll make him less of a ganker with portal key, more of like just a carry who has strong laning potential.
Yeah, and like Dawnbringer to
Yeah.
give him more mana. Yeah, I can see that happening.
You don't think
Yeah.
Spell Sunder? I mean, the thing with Spell Sunder was that his ultimate actually, so all of his auto attacks apply that debuff. I don't know. That seemed like it's pretty powerful. We'll
What
talk.
do you think, Sunder? We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, I guess we will talk about it later, but that's gonna be interesting to see. You know what kind. But yeah, we'll talk about it when we get to Spell Sunder. So, all right. So I won't talk about that just yet. Anything else to add to Ravener? We good on that? Is this gonna still be ban worthy against Super KG?
No, it's not going to be ban worthy. I can see it being picked in the second picking phase, though. Against, like, let's say enemy team picks dual range middle, Ravenor counters that, you pick Ravenor. Let's say, let's say Lioness picks Devourer in the first phase, and you just pick Ravenor against Devourer. This Devourer can never kill Ravenor unless you have a Parasite or Feeler, but, I mean, let's say 2v2 matchup straight up, Ravenor will beat a hooker. That's the reason why Ravenor came into the metagame.
Yeah.
Because to counter the hook heroes. Or like, Ravenor can counter Pebbles as well, because it's just so damn tanky. So yeah.
All right. Beef. Anything to add to that?
Absolutely, Breaky. Ravener is looking really red these days.
Yes.
He's looking really red. No, I want to talk about him more in Spell Sunder because Moon says that's not working, but I don't know. We'll have to talk about it.
Let's just do it now. Let's just do it. Let's just talk about Spell Sunder. Here, I'll bring up the item here. We might as well. Screw it. I know we're going
Yeah, bring it up.
Let's do it. Let's talk about Spell Sunder here. So again, this is the hero that came to mind when we were bringing up the item. So it's loading here. There we go. All right. So Spell Sunder again. Just real quick, an overview here of what this item actually does. This is one of the new 2 items in the game from this patch. So of course you see the components right there: Pickled Brain, Major Totem, Mana Tube. By the way, the Major Totem is actually 540 gold. Again, I didn't correct that yet, but the Major Totem price did not get changed, so to clarify there. Dealing any damage applies a debuff to target for 3 seconds. Debuff makes them take 5 damage plus 3% of the target's health and magic damage per second. Dealing magic dot damage, however, actually cuts the damage in half. So those are that's the idea behind Spell Sunder. So there you go, Spell Sunder. Moon, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on this item here?
Alright, the reason why you don't want to pick it up on a hero like Ravenor, right? Is because you're spending 2,365 gold to apply a dot debuff, which doesn't stack on itself. So unless you're auto attacking it once every 3 seconds, you're not getting the full effectiveness out of the item. You want to pick Spell Sunder up on AoE heroes where you can hit 5 heroes, so you can apply the debuff on 5 targets. For example, Bubbles, where you just blink, capture 5 people, or you shell search, hit 5 people, you know?
Does Stormblades not apply that when it bounces?
Stormblades? Yeah,
I think in the E.
Yeah, it applies it. I think it should apply it because it's a magic damage.
Stormblades should.
Yeah.
Do you really want to pick up a 2.3k item just to apply the dot, you know?
I mean, there's...
First of all, you want to do it on top. When you buy a Spell Sunder, you want to combo it with other items or with a hero, like, for example, a hero like Thunderbringer, where you ulti 5 people, boom, Spell Sunder on 5 heroes. On top of that, maybe you combo it together for Spell Shards, and boom, you're applying a Spell Sunder with the Spell Shards effect on 5 heroes. You know, you don't want to pick it up on a hero like Parasite just because you're only doing it on 1 target. And this item was also in League of Legends, and people pick this item up with AoE heroes where they know they can hit 5 people. I'm not gonna say which League of Legends heroes because we're not playing League of Legends here. But Breaky, I linked the graph of the Spell Sunder damage output to you in Skype, and you can bring it up, and I can explain it in full detail math-wise. why you don't pick it up on dot heroes as well, like Slither. It's just not worth it because it's half the damage. It even says half, so it's not worth it for the amount you're paying for. And you want to pick it up maybe on a hero like Tripper, where you can rock it constantly, and you apply the magic damage constantly. We're just talking about just constantly doing magic damage, and then it also combos really well with Harkon's Blade because it gives you mana regeneration and the mana pool to support Harkon's Blade as well. So I could see it working together with Harkon's Blade because every time you attack, you can apply a debuff, and yeah.
Yeah, no, I got the chart up here. I mean, it is interesting to actually look at this and really see how much damage is actually happening. In the end, it actually is definitely is less than maybe you would expect.
Yeah, it's way less than you would expect, unless it goes into late game, where let's say you pick Thunderbringer, right? You don't go Spell Sunder first. That's bad. Maybe you can pick up a Mana Ring for early game. However, you can split up the Mana Ring later and use the Pickled Brain for Spell Sunder late game. And here's the thing, you can pick up Spell Shards first, and let's say the other team has like a Legionnaire. He has 2.5k HP, he has Shaman's Hitchers. How do you address him?
Yeah.
Spell Shards, Spell Sunder. You have his magic armor with Spell Shards, and then with so much health, he's going to take so much damage from Spell Sunder with one zap. And you're just going to totally counteract all those tanky heroes. Previously, in the previous patch, when you're Thunderbringer versus like Legionnaire or Cthulhuphone or Shaman's Hitchers, you can't touch them. You do no damage. Even with spell shots, with Grimoire power, you just cannot kill them, In this patch, all the spell casters with spell shots, spell sunder, they have some sort of interaction with the really tanky heroes, so you can actually drop them late game. So I can see all this Thunderbringer, all this spellcasters, Kinesis, and Tripper, all the spellcasters doing work late game against all these tanky people who buy vestments and all these things. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's not the biggest investment. I mean, 2,300 gold is not the most. I mean, so that is, wondering if it could be more that later guide for heroes like that. But yeah, no, that does make sense. I mean, especially looking at the graph, how, for a hero like Ravener, maybe not as effective, but in the hands of something like a Bubbles, like you're saying, Thunderbringer even, which we'll talk about later on even.
Well,
but,
I think Spell Sunder is an item for heroes that do damage with their spells. Ravener does magic damage, but you're doing damage with your auto attacks, so it's not like the item you'd want on him. But I think this hero, I think this item has a lot of will be picked up quite a bit, especially against a lot of strength heroes.
The tanky ones, yeah, just to break through the high health.
Yeah.
Or if you have like low cooldown spells.
Yeah, like Midas.
Like a Midas, yeah, exactly like a Midas. I actually picked up it today, Midas. It worked pretty well.
Yeah.
But I think it's most effective. I think it's gonna be really core on Thunderbringer for sure. I think Thunderbringer would be straight out core item for Thunderbringer, late game at least.
Yeah. I mean,
just because of his ultimate?
Just because of his ultimate, and just because it directly goes with his third spell as well. It's kind of funny. They're both like same thing. Yeah.
I'm still not getting the rationale for the ultimate here though. I mean, you applied the ultimate on there and you're doing your 9% of the target's current health. Like it applies after that damage has been done. You zap somebody and then it does an extra like 180 damage, and then maybe it applies extra on some chain lightnings and stuff. But I don't know. I'm still seeing this as like a really viable item for Ravener with the Stormblades, with the static discharge, and of course with the auto attacks applying it each and every time, because he does do that superior magic damage. Like
when you buy an item, you want to get the full effectiveness out of it. You want to get the 100% mana regen on it. You want to get the pickle brain use out of it. And when you ulti with Thunderbringer, right, you hit 5 people, you apply a dot for 3 seconds on 5 people as well. So you take away 9% of their current HP for 3 seconds. They can't use their portal keys, they can't initiate on you, and you kind of do it, and then you see everyone, you apply this dot on them, they can't portal key away, and boom. I actually think that, yeah, it's good. But for Ravenor, it's like, would I rather buy 2.3k item Spell Sunder, or would I rather buy an Insanitarius, which gives me faster auto attack, more auto attack damage, and gives me more tankability.
Yeah.
And what does the 250 mana do for me, really? I mean, it does something, but I don't really
We just talked about him needing like something to address the mana issues that he's going to have right now.
Yeah, but
and
it's
also still going to be.
You really want to pick
I don't know. You have Dawnbringer for that.
Damage.
Yeah.
Okay, if you go on a Dawnbringer, of course you're not going to go a Spell Sunder, but it's definitely a different way to address the mana issues.
I don't know. Maybe if your build was like, if you're like maybe in the Portal Key build, I could potentially see it. Like if you're in like Portal Key, Shrunken Head, then like Spell Sunder. But I don't know. I think you just want to, when you're playing a hero like Ravener, you just want to get auto attacks off. You want attack speed. You want just raw damage. You don't want like
worrying about applying a dot with your auto attacks. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I do see that. Yeah.
I mean, I see this item and I hear like pops up in my mind that'd be really good on is like say Prophet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Prophet works. Yeah.
It's the AOE and yeah, of course.
Yeah. Because I think it's like the thing is the item applies magic damage whenever you deal magic damage. You don't have to auto attack like a Harkon's Blade or like a Grimoire powered for it to do it. So, like you could do it from a distance would be most preferable. Like Countfield is really far. A Prophet LT could do it relatively far away. You don't really have to auto attack to do it. And what else?
I think. Well, I just think because Ravener's just so unique in that sense. I mean, he's this melee physic. He wants to be in your face, beating you up, but he's all about magic damage in the end. With his ultimate, providing his auto attacks to be superior magic damage, his abilities being all magic damage. So he is that unique hero, really. So I think that's where this conversation comes from. Like, maybe is it good on him because he's kind of that in between. But I do agree both with Senator Moon saying anything. I just think that concept though that you're really focused more on the auto attack damage and applying a dot to that single target over time with your auto attacks, that it
Plus,
just makes more sense to go that
yeah,
way.
plus you're only doing one person who's getting the spell Sunder. You know what I mean? Like you're spending let's say the guy has 1k HP, you're spending 2.3k to do 30 more DPS. You do them at 30 more DPS with 2.3k HP when the guy it's not worth it whatsoever. However, if you apply it in the big AoEs, you can do like a big AoE like Alonia, 1 LT, and you apply a spell Sunder to everyone, Everyone's getting it because it's so hard not to get caught in it. That's what people do in League of Legends too when they buy this item. They buy it on big AoE heroes, so you can hit every one of it, and even if they get 1 damage out of your Alonia LT because they're way out of it, they still get the spell Sunder, they still lose 9% of their current health and magic damage.
Yeah.
So I think this goes well with generally every AoE hero.
Beef, did you want to say anything to that? Sound like
Nope.
you were. Okay. We're good. All right, we're good. So Spell Center, yeah, no. A thing to note though about we brought this up yesterday, again to clarify today. This is not going to be in tournament mode. This and the Ion Stone are not going to be tournament mode off the bat. So they are currently just eligible for TMM and whatnot. So we don't have to worry about it in competitive mode at least yet. I'm sure some tweaks will happen. Yeah, unfortunately.
Damn it! I thought it would be in competitive mode.
Nope.
Wait, what else isn't in competitive mode?
Ion Stone is not in competitive mode either.
Oh yeah, that one I can understand, but
well,
when is this going to be in? Is it going to be like in a month or two, or like?
I have no clue. I think at this rate, it's one of those cases with Haunter, getting close to the finish. It's probably going to not come in by the time Haunter finishes. But I don't know. That's not up to me. I'm sure that'll be talked about. And if they, give it a couple of weeks. If they feel very comfortable that it's in a spot where it's like, this is actually good, I mean, I can see them throwing it in. I don't see why not. But I know Lex Talionis was thrown right in, so it's...
No, was it?
Yeah. It was,
oh, it was. You're right,
yep,
actually.
Came out in tournament rules. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes, but...
You can forget about it because no one used it for forever.
Exactly.
And no one still does.
There's some issues with the item.
I used it a couple times, but...
It has some strength to it, but there are a lot of weaknesses at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right, let's get back on track to heroes, though. Again, we'll definitely talk about more items so when we get to that section here. But going back to heroes, so the next one I had on the list here is another hero that we do see every now and then, like carry potential. We got of course Wraith. I'm talking about here. Wraith, his agility gain got decreased, magic armor from 5.5 to 4. Desert's Curse, his move speed bonus got nerfed, and then of course his Mirage, the illusion's duration actually increased slightly, but the cooldown was increased on top of that, at least at the earlier levels. So your guys' thoughts on these Wraith changes definitely hitting. I think the magic armor is the one that really stands out to a lot of people, but Sender, we'll start with you. What about Wraith here?
Yeah, it's going to hurt him a lot in matches and in TMM, brings down the power level of like his chasing ability, which will make him do less damage when he's trying to kill a hero, and he'll be easier to kill. That 1.5 magic armor is a big deal, and the agility gain will reduce his damage a little bit, but the hero will still provide what he does. He has the ganking potential. He can farm a lane, and, jump a team fight. He's kind of a mess of a hero to play against. He's kind of hard to gank with his Q and now you have to be little bit more wise when you're using your ultimate. Like, am I almost a level 11? Do I really want to use this ultimate to kill this hero? Because the cooldown's going to go down quite a bit.
Yeah.
And it's good for a hero. It's going to make more choices when you're playing the hero. It's not as much play your hero. There's more gain and benefit and risk reward to play when you're playing it. So I think he'll still be viable, just not nearly as good as he is right now.
Moon?
I can play high TMM again.
Yay!
Yeah! I really like this nerf. Definitely, Sandropus. I don't want to play 1900, 1800 because I see Sandwraith, and
Yeah.
Scout.
Blame Sunder.
When you play high TMM and the other team picks Sandwraith, it's like, okay, guys, what hero do I pick now so I don't die to the Sandwraith?
Yeah. Alright, I have to pick, let's see.
Hag or something like that.
Even Hag dies, because you just chase them down, just too fast, you know? Energizer, you just, whoop, I'm there! You need, like, I don't know... Like,
Doctor's pretty good.
Doctor's pretty good.
So it sounds like you guys like this change, though, to say the least.
Yeah, it was just killing every game. It was making people quit Han, I swear to God. People quit Han because of that hero.
Yeah.
And that nerf really needed to happen long time ago, but I'm glad at least it happened now, you know. Now better now than never. Still viable. I really don't see it being picked up anymore on competitive scene. Maybe once in a while as a prize pick.
Really?
But yeah.
You think it's gonna really drop him off completely?
Especially with the magic armor nerf, you're gonna see a lot of magic heroes being picked up because of spell shards, and with his magic armor nerf, I think it's just gonna be food for a lot of those magical heroes. Like I don't know, Thunderbringer. I think I'm gonna see Thunderbringer more.
We'll get to that, but yeah, that would be fun. That would be fun. All right, so you really think that's gonna really hurt his chances? I mean, I
really do. Yeah.
So yeah, Sander, it didn't sound like you were that much for Sandwraith, falling off. I mean,
I don't know. Personally, I think the hero will still be played. Maybe it won't be like, okay, guys, Sandwraith's just Sandwraith. Let's just pick him. He'll be like, is Sandwraith good this game? It's an option. It's not like it's not how how a hero should be picked. It's like
I agree, Sander here completely.
Or well, does it fit your lineup? Do you have a gank lineup? Do you have like something like a fade or a scout to find the kills? You know, it's like it fits your lineup. Is it good against their lineup? And that, that's how it should be, how a hero should be played. It's not like
that's how a hero should be drafted, right, Sunder? I think that you should pick it based on the situation. Not like, oh my God, first pick keeper, now pick Tempest. All right, then we just see the same heroes in order being picked up, every single time. Like, okay, first pick Hag, then you pick keeper, then you pick War Beast, then you pick Tempest, and just like now with all these nerfs, we're gonna see the drafting gonna be hella different, and you're gonna see, I think, a lot more diverse lineups, and which is
that's the goal.
Which is really good. It's a good thing. And Sandwraith, like Sander said, will not. I think it'll be picked up kind of like how a Gemini would be picked up, or like kind of like how
Soul Stealer or like
Soul Stealer. Yeah, Soul Stealer, really strong hero. You cannot pick in every game. You have to pick a good situation for him. Yeah, kind of like that. I like how. Yeah.
All right.
All right, next hero, please.
Yeah, no, that's going to be fun. More that niche kind of pick in the end. So, Beef, anything for Sandwraith here?
I think Moon wants to talk about Thunderbringer, but I don't know. I don't know if
there's some other heroes
one before then. Nobody wants to talk about Scout.
There's two.
Scout, please. After Sarah Scout. Oh my God, the cancer of Han.
Let's move on to Scout. Let's move on to Scout here. We got Scout, of course. Definitely getting some changes. As you can see, his intelligence gain increased, so getting some buffs there. But Vanish, activation mana cost from 30 to 50, fade time up to 1 second from 0.5, move speed bonus reduced at all levels, and then the Electric Eye no longer has 200 life, it just has 1. Killing one shot no matter who or where you are. So, Scout, the cancer of Han as you're putting it. Sender, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on these Scout changes?
When I look at it, I think it's bringing down the power level of the hero and not, like, getting rid of what he does in his role in the game. Like, his role is still there. It's just not as strong as it used to be. And maybe I think it's still strong enough to be picked, but I'm not sure how often you'd want to pick him, and I'm not really it's kind of like Sandwraith when I think about it. It's like, is this a good scout game? Do we want to gank and just, try to set up kills and drag the game out? And it's definitely going to help in the early game. It's going to slow down a snowball quite a bit, and especially with the eye nerf, I think that's going to help a lot for team fights. Because before it was just you have 4 really good spells, and Electric Eye is still really good. It's just easier to deal with, and I don't know. Personally, I think the hero's still good. It's just not nearly as at the level he was before.
Moonmeander, thoughts on these scout changes?
Needed to happen. Chemotherapy has worked, and I played against Scout today. It was still pretty sufferable. It was pretty insufferable. Our carrier died. I was bad. I could kill him though, because I could run him down easier.
Yeah.
Definitely noticed that, because I actually killed him a couple times where I thought I was like, oh, there's no way I'm gonna catch him. Like, wait, he's actually moving pretty slow. I was like, oh, I could run faster, almost as fast as him. I eventually caught up to him and killed him a couple times, and I could see the nerfs coming through, and then I saw IR jungle. Instead of spending 3 seconds auto attacking down, I spent 1 second just pop, and he's gone, you know? And also, I think he's still gonna be really strong suicide.
Okay.
Just because his disarm really screws with a lot of heroes, and that can get touch. And sure, his invis got nerfed, but I mean, it's still gonna be hard to kill him. That's easier, but he still has invis. You still have to buy dust against him, which is kind of annoying. You don't know where because it's gonna be at any point of time.
You still have to worry about the courier.
Yeah.
Still have to worry about the carrier. Yes, he's still gonna kill your stupid carrier, but I mean, that's one of the strengths of the hero, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. But with less mobility, which is his biggest nerf, to be honest, the mana thing, yeah, that's bad, I know. But his mobility was what really needed to be cut down, and he got cut down this patch. So we're still gonna see Scout in competitive scene. I guarantee you. Banned, maybe not. First pick, probably not. 4th, 5th pick, like Grinex. Yes, I think it's gonna be like Grinex, kinda, yeah.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, I mean, Swin Mullins, he's notoriously known for banning Scott. It's one of his 2 bans, especially as of late. Do you think this is enough to maybe get a player like that to be like, okay, you know, we'll let him squeak by, or is it still?
I'm pretty sure he'll still ban Scout.
Out? Yeah.
He might still be banned by Swin though, yeah. But I think other teams will not ban him or pick him up as much. I mean, now it's 15% bonus move speed. So let's say I have Ghost Marches or whatever, or like I have 400 move speed hero, or I put a dot on you like a hag slow. I can easily kill you. Previously, even if I hag slowed you or whatever, I could just run out of it like you're so fast, you know. But now you're way slower. The fade time was increased too, so I have a bigger chance of landing my spell in case of you disjoining it or letting my auto attack or whatever, you know? So yeah, I think it's a step in the right direction. We're going to definitely see less in TMM, and all the TWD, the 2000 MMR scout players are going to be 1900, 1800 MMR, which is good.
Well, you know... I mean, Jonathan Fan especially has been showing not only Grinix, but then even Madman is kind of coming up as that kind of stealthy style of hero that's good at moving around. So, you know, perhaps with Scout dying off a little bit, this will just even mean more Grinix and more hero like Madman, perhaps, to kind of be making that appearance. So, it's going to be fun to see how that progresses, but
the difference between Grinix and Scout is Scout with a BKB Basher will lock down any carry.
Yeah.
And it's a really good late game. Scout is just good the whole game, you know. Even like 60 minutes in, you have a Basher BKB Scout.
I wouldn't say the whole game. I mean, his weakness, he can be kind of weak in like if against a push lineup, but I guess push is a lot weaker now.
Yeah.
So.
Definitely got hit.
But that compared to Grinix, I actually remember this vividly in DreamHack, where Jonas picked Grinix against us, and it ended up being a really, really, really long game because they couldn't end the game. And Grinix with Shield Breaker, Rift Shots, he just cannot out-carry, out-carries. But if that was a Scout with the amount of farm that the Grinix had, he could definitely do way more than the Grinix late game. So Grinix has his weakness that he doesn't really have a late game skill, but Scout just scales well throughout the game, except against, like Sander said, push lineups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Beef, anything out of a Scout?
I mean, I think that what was said a little bit earlier on in the discussion about Scout, with putting him more in line with a lot of those other heroes, it's exactly what a lot of this patch has been doing. Is just making it so that you have to consider whether or not this is the best option, rather than saying this guy is head and shoulders above. So it's going to be a good change, and somebody else had talked about maybe Sandwraith change, bringing back to TMM. I think that without Scout, maybe taking him down a notch or two, I think I could see myself back in those high TMMs. Oh, cancer indeed.
Beef coming
Please
back.
be. If you're going to be playing Strife, don't even.
Oh, wow. Sunder, please.
Damn, shots
I
fired.
think I was pretty disappointed that Gemini didn't get any nerfs this patch because, like, now that Scout and Center is gone, people was gonna find a niche cancer hero. Right now it's Doctor Pauser, Gemini, and probably Oogie is gonna be a new cancer. And
Kinesis?
I really, Kinesis might be a cancer, but
I think
I
in
don't know.
TMM.
In TMM, Kinesis might be a problem, but he requires some sort of skill to play, to be honest.
True, it does require a lot of skill.
Yeah.
Center is just ha ha ha, just happy-go-lucky, Q left click and right click, yeah. So yeah.
It's always going to be something, right? It's always going to be something.
There's always gonna be a one cancer hero, but I mean every game is like that too,
Yeah.
not just
What
a
can,
Han.
what can you do with that? Yeah.
Everyone's just gonna find the new cancer, you know?
All right, moving on to the next one. Speaking of a hero that's obviously got a lot of weight with it as far as how much we see it on the competitive scene from the very beginning even. Tempest, of course, what I'm bringing up here. We got his counterpart in Keeper of the Forest getting some nerfs. Tempest also receiving some nerfs. The Glacial Blast cooldown from 15 to 18 seconds. The range from 600 to 500. Debuff can now be purged on top of all that, which actually was very interesting to kind of hear about that yesterday. The Elemental, the attack damage nerfed at all levels, and then the Elemental Void, the outer ring damage, actually cut in half at all levels. So again, took the nerf stick all across the board here. Sender, we'll start with you. The Tempest, is Tempest dying off, or is he still going to be?
Well, let's just talk about what the nerfs mean. Let's the elemental nerf. I think what I was told is it should reduce his level 6 timing to 5 minutes at like the fastest 6 timing. Before it was like 4:30 or 4. So obviously this means Tempest's full potential gets unlocked at like 5 minutes to 6 minutes into the game instead of 4 to 5. So that's obviously a big thing. Like it gives the lanes that much longer to just be safer on the lanes, and so that's gonna reduce his early game effectiveness just a little bit. The stun, it's gonna be a lot harder to gank without boots in the early levels. Like say if you're like a Tempest and you want to gank the short lane or the mid lane, it's gonna require boots in a lot of cases to get the ganks off of that before you could have gotten off. So that's a big deal. Then the Q nerf on the duration or the cooldown is big for early team fights, so that decreases the chance of getting 2 stuns off in a fight.
Yeah.
And the debuff, dispellable, I don't think they'll come into play too often, but maybe, I don't know if that warrants it like a no fire blade pickup by any means. Maybe if heroes have dispellable abilities, that's pretty good, but in general, I think Tempest will still be strong, but he won't be okay, guys. They picked their hero, now let's pick Tempest because Tempest is really good. It's like because now that push is a lot weaker. You're not gonna pick Tempest to just push in towers and then with him having not as an effective early game, it's gonna make the BKB timing a lot later. So because Tempest does require blink BKB in a lot of cases to team fight properly, and you have to wait for that to defend your base or to take fights. So I think the hero will still be picked, just not as often.
Well, it sounds like not only for just again his gradual growth through the game is just naturally going to take a little bit longer to get that initial level 6, to get that initial Astral Laboring and Sorcery, to get that initial BKB. So it's going to take just a little bit longer, and that could definitely have an impact in the game itself. So Moonmeander, what are your thoughts on these Tempest changes?
I think this Tempest change is good. Definitely nerfed the offensive capabilities of Tempest. They nerfed the farming capability of Tempest. But the thing is, the ultimate is still going to be insane. Especially if Keeper being nerfed. No more Keeper Suicide, which means less Keeper pickups, which means more Tempest, which means a stronger Tempest. And I think that with this nerf, it's not enough to kick him out of the competitive scene. He's just such a good hero with his skill set.
Could you change the ultimate? Like, you can't really change the ultimate, though. I think it's safe to say
No, you can't change it.
No way.
Yeah, there's nothing you could really.
You just have to
do.
learn to play. You have to learn to you just have to play around the ultimate. You have to get abilities that can cancel it. And
Yeah.
Exactly. And one thing to note, I just tested it out. When you stun someone with Tempest Glacial Blast, they can jump Midas Bane out of the second and third stun. Boom.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, we were bringing that up actually yesterday. It was very interesting to hear. Beef was actually talking about how Geometer's Bane is that's actually a big one. How before you actually still would take the stuns after that, but
So yeah, I can just Jaws out of it. So
yeah.
another reason to skip Shrunken Head and pick up Geometer's Bane. Another reason why range carries or agility carries we're gonna see more of them because of against Tempest, Geometer's Bane, and Wingbow. So,
Very nice. All right, Beef, anything to add?
I heard Wingbow, but
not yet.
Not yet.
That's later.
No, I'm really excited to see what kind of stuff people are going to come up with in terms of like dispelling off the Tempest things. But talked about that enough yesterday. Let's get on with it.
All right, let's move on here. This is one that we were talking about a little bit earlier. I'm excited. It sounds like pretty much everyone here is pretty interested to see what this really leads this hero to be. Thunderbringer coming with some changes. Move speed increased up by 5. Starting armor increased by about a half, by 0.5. You got Blast of Lightning kind of reworked here. Not really reworked, just added bonuses. Now can be used on yourself and an ally to grant a 75 move speed for 5 seconds. And it also grants that True Sight Clear Vision buff even that it would provide against an enemy. In normal cases for, say, counter-warding or spotting invisible heroes or whatnot. So, basically, kind of a double addition here. Not only the move speed, but the clear vision and true sight, a little bit easier to use that. And there's even talks of Thunderbringer support possibly being a new thing. Sender's like, no.
No, please, no.
That's kind of what I was like yesterday.
No,
I think that was a thing.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, okay. These changes, so what do you guys think, Sender?
Kind of the game is shifting to like a 1v1 middle, and at times, and potentially I could see Thunderbringer being picked up in a lot of games. Maybe not a god tier pick by any means, because he's not good in every situation, but I could see him being picked up sometimes, and because he's good with the spell shards change, he's good with the spell Sunder change. Mm-hmm. I think those are the two things that are going to bring him into the scene more than anything, plus the kind of meta shift. And then I guess the movement speed is pretty big in the armor, so that increases his laning potential. And the Blast Lightning is more of like that's not the reason he's going to be picked, but it's going to be a big plus when you're trying to counter ward. And the movement speed actually seems pretty big also, because you can just get yourself out of the team fight or get yourself into the team fight because you're a pretty slow hero in general. So,
Moon, what do you think about these changes?
I think he's gonna be a huge. People are gonna pick him up just because of his Blast Lightning. Because the dual lane mid meta game, you can't find a worth middle. No problem, you have Thunderbringer, and then zap and clear wards around your mid lane so they can never get wards around there. And then, especially with Pestilence being picked up so much, I can actually see Thunderbringer doing really good against Pestilence dual lane mid just because you can zap from a distance. And Pestilence can't really initiate you like a Pebbles can. As well as the move speed increase, so he's less of a free frag, and obviously the spell charge change gonna make Thunderbringer work wonders. Unfortunately, you can't balance Spire Sunder yet on Thunderbringer, but in TMM you can. So TMM, I think he might be the new cancer, but once again, his weakness is that he's killable. He's killable. Yeah. He's gonna do a lot of damage.
He's very killable. Yes.
So you have to kill Thunderbringer first a lot of the times TMM. But in the competitive Haunt, I can definitely see the working 1 versus 1. However, I would see him being as a 4th or 5th pickup after you see the enemy heroes. Let's say you see the enemy heroes, they have a Moon Queen, Empath, they're going to end up a Kraken. Obviously, they're going to put Kraken in the middle and do Moon Queen, Empath safe lane. You can punish them by picking Thunderbringer middle, and you can get away with it. And he's going to do a ton of damage for your team.
Yeah. Beef, anything to add with Thunderbringer?
For Moon to say that he thinks that Thunderbringer might be the new cancer in TMM, oh man. I mean, I definitely think he's going to get better, but that's pretty crazy. I like what you brought up, though, with in terms of Pestilence. And definitely, there are going to be some unique situations where I could see TB being almost a counter to the dual lane mid. So, yeah, I think that we're definitely going to see TB in the next 2-3 months, see him in the competitive scene.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, the one big downside of the hero is kind of like the Soul Stealer effect where he's just very squishy. He doesn't really have that escape. I mean, he kind of does. It's not the most ideal escape by any means, but it actually is. It's a buff. I mean, he gets 75 move speed now. if he decides to use it on himself, if he sees a gank incoming. So that's kind of a big deal. That's going to be fun to see, again, not only competitive scene, but even the team.
Oh,
Yeah.
something else to add is with the return of, like, say, maybe Thunderbringer mid and, like, say, the return of the 1v1 mid, you might see the return of Pebbles dual lane mid just because the hero is really good in a 2v1 situation because you have good range with the stalagmites and good kill potential. So
Yeah.
Exactly.
it could be the return of Pebbles mid.
It's the circle. The circle of the meta.
Coming first is like,
Just like that Lions game, remember? Breaky, I was casting a few, and we thought like
Yeah.
Pebbles was kind of dead, but
Sure
since
enough.
they knew that Pebbles was gonna be 1 versus 2, so Pebbles completed free farm, so Pebbles could get a lot middle, and the other guy could get almost nothing because 1 versus 2.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, Sender's absolutely right here against Thunderbringer. Pebbles would be a straight counter.
yeah. All right, so we'll see. War Beast going to be the next one here. Again, I want to keep it moving.
Really, not Tundra?
Was Tundra? Oh, yeah. Let's actually talk about Tundra here real quickly. I apologize. I didn't have him on that list right there. That is kind of a big deal, though. Let me find up Tundra right here. Yeah, Tundra. We did actually bring this up yesterday as well. Tundra, he got some changes here. His cold shoulder, of course, the cooldown decreased at all levels. Call of the Winter, Shiver Day Vision changed, as well as the Night Vision to be increased at least the earlier levels right there. So, definitely getting some buffs. And so, Sender, clearly you're very intrigued by these changes here with Tundra.
Oh, yeah, for sure, because Tundra was already seen a return. Like, he's a very strong hero. He just needs the right kind of meta. He's not good against... Okay, I should say he's okay. He's good against push, but he's not good in an early game team fight because he doesn't provide the most damage output.
Mm-hmm.
Or he's okay in an early game team fight, I guess. But the return of his, he's just really good in the long game. Good map control, good CC in the late game, and he's good in a 1v1 middle. He's okay. He's pretty good 1v2 mid as well. And with the cold shoulder buff, it's going to increase his laning potential quite a bit because it's a really good harassment tool. And I don't think this Call of the Winter buff is going to be the biggest deal. Like what 100 range is. It's good, but I don't think that's going to be like a deal breaker. But I think the cold shoulder buff is pretty significant.
Moon, you have history playing Tundra, I've heard. What do you think of these changes?
I know cold shoulder is gonna be bigger level 1, but it's still pretty bad, 70 seconds. However, I'm just looking at the level 4 being 8 seconds cooldown cold shoulder. I don't know, man. I think it's a little bit too much. And the Call of Winter, I disagree here, Sender.
Really?
Like 100 this day vision, because you're gonna be level 1 most of the time. It's gonna be a 1.1 there from now on. Because previously I wouldn't even bother using it. It's a waste of mana. But now 800 vision is a lot of vision actually. It's 200 less than the ward if you think about it.
True.
So, and then you put it, and you can see more. And I think it's gonna be 1.1 there. Yeah.
Okay. So you think maybe if you're 1v1 mid, you would max your Q, then secondary your E, and just have 1 point in your Call of the Winter.
Yeah, that's how it always is. But just because you want a level 4 call,
Right.
At level 11, but now that I feel since 800 range, I can actually I would bother using it. Previously, level 1 Hawk, I would just screw it, waste some mana, But now 800 range is a lot, honestly.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, no, I think you're right on this one.
Yeah, I mean, the 100 range, definitely, it's, as you said, it's basically the equivalent to the Ward Sight, to just about at least, so. Yeah, no, I mean, we talked about this yesterday. Pro Busk, obviously, he's kind of the one right now in the competitive scene that's really known for still playing Tundra. You've been banning against him, so I'm sure he especially loving these changes.
Just so you guys know, I still remember Cold Shoulder before all these nerfs was level 12-second cooldown at level 1.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now it's 8-second cooldown at level 4. It used to be 12 seconds at all levels, so I actually think that this level 4 8-second buff, 8-second cooldown, people won't realize it at first, but as people play the hero more and more, people are like, oh my god, this is overpowered.
Gap closer, yeah.
Yeah.
Every
12
8
to 8,
seconds.
it's insane. 8 seconds cooldown on Cold Shoulder, I think that's too much, man.
That's true. That is quite a low cooldown for an ability like that. So, Tundra, man, Tundra, god tier here. Really, he shivers again. One of the strongest abilities in the game. So, so there you go, Tundra. let's move on to War Beast here now. We're talking about War Beast, another one of these heroes. Again, it's definitely ban status even, and getting some changes here though. Summons Hellhound. Damage from the Hellhounds actually decreased a little bit at the earlier levels, only by 1 at the later level. But
they increased, no?
I apologize. I think I did that yesterday too. It increased, yes.
Yeah.
By 4, 3, 2, 1. Then the Battle Cry cooldown from 25 to 35 seconds. So yeah, the Hellhounds actually got a slight buff there, but the cooldown of the Battle Cry was increased by 10 seconds. Moonmeander, what are your thoughts on these War Beast changes?
I love it. Kids is probably gonna hate it. Basically, keep a War Beast suicide potential, nerf the shit ton. Because when you play suicide, you max the Warcry because you help out the lane so much, it's insane. With Warcry being 35 seconds, basically it's about 33% less effective now.
Yeah.
As a suicide because of the Warcry. On top of that, Warcry helps you CS at the tower, which you not gonna be able to do it as much anymore because it's a 35-second cooldown. But on the other hand, if you can get away with War Beast in the jungle, like how Emperor used to play it, and War Beast is a really strong hero late game, mid game especially, if he gets the farm. Like we have seen Emperor playing in the past, we've seen like even S4, if you guys remember. 2 years ago.
S4 played jungle War Beast?
Yeah, he did, I remember.
Really?
And then,
it's not coming to mind, yeah, but I guess so.
Wait, did he? Was it S4? No, was it Midas?
I believe Midas might have.
I mean...
He's one of the Alliance players. One of the Alliance players. Anyway, he's gonna be really fast jungle, like way faster than before. But he's gonna be garbage suicide, I think. Like people will pick him less suicide. To be honest, I actually would see. Like I don't even think it's worth it for him to be suicide anymore. Just because the battle cry isn't isn't there. Maybe in the 1 versus 2 situation, we'll pick War Beast, but still.
Right. Like if you're picking War Beast, you'd rather have him in the jungle, unless you need a hero to get something out of the long lane, basically.
Exactly. Even if that's the case, I would rather pick Grinex over War Beast.
Right.
Or even Hag. Oh no, Bubbles.
I wonder, when do you think you can expect to be level 6 on War Beast now if you're in the jungle?
5-6 minutes. Maybe if you're lucky, with runes 5 minutes.
Alright, so I mean that's pretty good. Because the hero's pretty good at ganking once you get level 6. Like you can set up kills pretty easily.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think maybe we'll see more Pharaoh because of the buffs. And with all this nerfs to keep a War Beast, it really shuts down a lot of the two big major suicides. So suicide heroes which weren't looked at before, especially with like maybe Grinex Scout getting banned, maybe I might see Pharaoh, boom, out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, I think again, this is just really one of those. Let's put him in the jungle. Let play him in the jungle if you're going to pick him up in the end, not in that suicide role. That's the idea with this change. So, Sunder, did you have anything to add though to the War Beast?
No, not really. I think Moon hit a lot of the points pretty spot on.
All right. Beef, anything?
I still want to talk about Harkin's War Beast, but evidently this is not the place.
It's strong.
It is. It is strong.
Just not right now.
Go for it.
Not right now, Beef. All right. So the last hero actually that I do have on the list here, I want to talk about before we jump into the items. Wretched Hag, of course, definitely a hero right now on the competitive scene. That's just #1 picks all over the place. Haunt, slow duration from 10 to 7 seconds. Sonar Scream, the mana cost from a static 140 to actually 135, 140, 145, 150, and then the Bat Blast damage. Actually took a hit at the later levels, both the level 2 and the level 3 of it looks like. So level 1 still the same, but level 2 and 3 definitely hurt. These changes here for a hero that we see so often on the competitive scene. What do you guys think about it, Sender?
Definitely good changes. The hero needed to be brought down. The hero was brought up without buffs just because the heroes got nerfed, so he had to be brought down and bring down the laning potential with the Haunt a little bit. Also, just in team fights too, but and then the Scream mana cost is good, and then I think the Bat Blast is more of that's being brought down to counteract Grimoire just a little bit, so he's doing a little bit less damage in team fights because Grimoire is just so good on the hero. But I think this won't really stop Hag from being picked at all. Like he's still gonna be just as strong, or It's just his damage output's going to be just a little bit less. His laning with Haunt is going to be a little bit less too. The Haunt build won't be nearly as good as it used to be. Like, you saw Haxter and most notably get like level 3, level 4 Haunt a lot on Honcast and when he played, and that build probably I don't think that'll be viable anymore. Like when you're having 4 points in your queue, and that's pretty much reducing that build's effectiveness by like 30%. So. Just bringing the hero down just a little bit, but I think he'll just be picked as just as much.
Yeah. Moon, what do you think?
I don't know whether you do less damage.
It's duration. Or, what are you talking about?
Do you do less damage just because the slow is slower? I think no. I think same amount of damage.
Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah.
true, yeah. So if the damage is
I think
the
it's same amount of
It's
damage.
still a 15-second debuff. It's just a
Yeah.
longer or slower
Okay.
flow.
Alright, yeah.
Less slow.
time.
Less duration slow.
Well, the mana cost a little bit annoying, yeah, but I mean the change now level 2 ulti is gonna be a fan favorite of pot smokers because that's 420 damage. But it's not that big a nerf. We're still gonna see Hag, I think.
Yeah, I like the point you brought up about the Grimoire power. How that not only the metagame but the Grimoire power, especially, I think was a big part in terms of really helping Hag jump on the scene. So, kind of counteracting that a little bit with the level 2 and level 3 nerfs of that. Definitely makes sense. So, Beef, anything else to add before we wrap up on the heroes here? And move on to the items.
I don't think so.
All right, let's keep it
I'm a
going.
valued member of this panel.
You are, damn it, Beef. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. All right, so items here. So we already talked about the Spell Sunder, of course. The other new item, scroll all the way back here. I'm very curious to hear opinions on this one. Just once again to reiterate, this is not in tournament rules yet, guys. It's just in the TMM scene. But Ion Stone. Talking about Ion Stone, one of the 2 new items. We talked about Spell Sunder already. Here's Ion Stone. All right, so in case you missed it yesterday, here we go. Cost is 300 gold. It's 60 health, 45 mana, just base straight up stats right there. Now, again, how it kind of works with the Iron Stone, it works in the bottle to an extent. So I'll just read it off here. When in the inventory, right-click a rune to power the stone with 3 charges based on the rune. Charges last up to 4 minutes. When powered, target yourself or an ally to consume a charge and give them a short duration of the buff, a nerf duration of the buff. So in double damage case, it's like 1.25 damage for 10 seconds, I believe. So examples like that. Does not stack with other Ion Stones or bottles. And the other thing to actually note about this, which actually isn't written here, but it does not consume the rune either. That's also very important to note. So you can still actually have another person bottle up the rune after you get the Ion Stone charged up with it. So there you go. Sender, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on the Ion Stone?
It seems pretty powerful, to be honest. Like what? I'm just thinking of it. So it's 300 gold, and maybe if you have so you could maybe even get like first item on your support, maybe, because it's gonna say if you have another support, right, like in the short lane, and maybe if you could fit this in, and it'd be pretty cool to have it have a support get like a first item Ion Stone and still get like maybe some regen, and you're checking the runes, and it's like, oh, it's a haste and it's an invis.
Yeah.
Well, now you have a bottled Ion Stone, and you have this threat of a haste rune or an invis rune for the next 4 minutes, and sure, it's not as powerful, but it's still pretty strong. And I don't know. I think if it got released, it could see a lot of play on the support heroes, and just checking runes a lot, getting these runes being active, or keeping them for team fights, and just putting them on your carries. And I don't really think any hero outside of a support hero would really ever buy it, just because it's an item slot that's not really doing that much for you. But
I agree with that.
oh, okay. You think other roles would get it?
Yeah.
Junglers,
Okay.
perhaps? I can see junglers.
I think it's gonna be staple pickup for every jungler.
Yeah.
Really?
Keeper can use all of the runes. Tempest can get all the runes. Parasite can get all the runes.
Well,
And the best part is you're not gonna steal your runes from your mid lane. You can Ion Stone it. We just call it Ion it. You can Ion the rune, and then you can protect the rune, camp the rune for mid lane. They grab it, but at the same time, you have the Ion Stone. The mid player can't pick it up because he's gonna get bottled. And you go back to the jungle and do whatever, and you come back to, you can gank if you're Invis, you Iron Stone, you come gank the guy if you're Parasite, or you Iron Stone yourself as Tempest, and you have an Invis Tempest, and you just going whole, which is insane. You have 2 holes of it, because there's 2 holes of the Iron Stone if you use it straight away. And then with regen, you just farm faster. Illusion, you farm faster. So yeah, I really see it working well with junglers.
When do you think you would buy it? Like, when do you buy it as a jungler? Because it's not really going to help you. In like, you get 60 mana and 45 mana, 60 HP, but it's not going to help you sustain in the jungle. So like, when do you think you would buy it then?
I think after Chalice and Parasite, I would buy it. On Tempest, I would buy it as soon as possible. Maybe after I get my Ring of Teacher straight into Iron Stone with mana pots.
Mm-hmm.
On paper, same thing. I think with Element of Exile, Iron Stone.
Ideally, you want to have it by the 2-minute rune, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Safe to say. So that is an interesting point, Sunder. How if you're going to get a jungle, it's like, yeah, you kind of have to work it in before that 2-minute mark. So when exactly do you?
Maybe if you start with it, could you see like a
start with it?
maybe a Tempest could start with it, or like a Parasite? Do you think that could happen?
I don't like it. I'd rather it to be later because it doesn't really do anything until like 2 minutes you can bottle a rune. Maybe if you agree, like sometimes some junglers I know they skip the 2-minute rune.
Oh.
And then they just farm, and then the 4-minute rune they go for it, the 6-minute rune they go for it. Maybe it could be kind of like that. You just skip the 2-minute rune, just fuck it, and then you go for all this farming items, but you can squeeze in the Iron Stone just before the 4-minute rune spawn.
Yeah.
And another hero I can see it working with is like heroes where you're in a 1 versus 2 middle situation, and you can't really farm a bottle in time, or you're 1 versus 1. You can't farm a bottle in time, so you buy the Iron Stone and a health pot, and you fare it yourself. Or like your solo mid hero like Arachna. You don't really want to buy the bottle, but at the same time you want to use runes effectively, you buy Iron Stone. I could see it working like that.
Oh yeah, actually that's a pretty good point.
And then Suicide, same as Suicide Heroes, maybe let's say you tell a team, okay, top rune is off limits. Alright, our safe lane carry hag is a bottle. We're gonna go bottom rune every single time. Scout buys Iron Stone, camps every bottom rune, secures it, the carry comes bottom. Same concept with the jungler and the suicide. Instead of the jungler just the suicide protects the rune for the mid player to come and grab it, and then the suicide just Iron Stones it and keeps the rune safe. Essentially. I guess that's another way to do it. And it's cheap for suicide and jungler to pick it up. It's only 300 gold.
300 gold is the thing that really is like.
I don't think the support's gonna pick it up just because you need to upgrade the curry, you need to buy boots, you need to buy wards and counter wards. I don't think it's 300 gold in there, no? Can you?
I think you could pick it up later on.
Later on, mid game.
My thought process is maybe you could pick it up like as if you could like if you say if you ran like a double support lineup, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe you could squeeze it in as like the mid lane support and like just start
second
with it.
Exactly. Yeah. I would like, that would work for sure. Second support. Yeah.
Could you imagine how deadly it would be? It's like, okay, you start with an Iron Stone on your support, and you got like a Glacius or something with like a haste rune for 4 minutes. It's like, that's pretty scary. But
yeah, I agree. Dual lane mid, if you've both second support, you always get it. First support shouldn't get it, but second support definitely. I think you only need 1 Iron Stone
per team or
per team, maybe 2 at max. I don't know, because like Sunder said, it is an item slot.
Yeah,
you know, I rather have power supply on mana battery or bottle. Or steam,
I think that was a strong point, though. It's definitely one of these items that on paper it does feel like there's a lot of cases to it, you know, that it could be pretty damn crazy. But in practice, it's going to be interesting to see how crazy it truly is. The biggest thing for me, actually, when you think about the runes, the regenerate, the haster, the illusions, double damage. Invis, though, that's the one for me that is a little scary. Because you get a 10-second Invis, I believe is what it is, with 3 charges. So, in a sense, you could use that 10-second Invis on yourself, quickly set up a gank, go act like you're going away, use another charge of the Invis for 10 seconds, kind of come back in, set up another gank, and you can kind of rinse and repeat with that. Or you could just use another Invis, a minute and a half later to set up another gank in another lane. I mean, that's where, for me, it is a little scary with this item, especially, again, for the cost of only 300 gold on these supporting roamers, ganker-style heroes, hell, even the junglers you're pointing out. So,
yeah, that's a good point.
That's the one that I'm like...
Imagine, like, okay, so, like, say you're playing, like, a hero mid, like, a support mid with, like, a stun or something, right? And you have a haste, and then you just get, like, a TP flown out to you. and then you TP to another lane, and you just activate the haste, and you can probably kill the hero. Like there's
to clarify again, the haste it's the reason why the biggest reason for me the invis one is because the ability itself is not actually hurt other than the duration, whereas every other rune it's hurt by both the duration and the actual effectiveness of it. With the haste, it's less as far as actual. Well, the haste, I don't think it's actually puts you haste speed. I believe
isn't it 25% or something?
I think it's something like 25%. Yeah,
25% and 25% slow resist.
Yeah, that's what it is. So
it's still a big deal though. Like I think this Ion Stone will make a lot of aggressive play. Like it'll create more aggressive possibilities than you had before, and that's obviously what you want with the item.
Yeah, and I think that in this especially, imagine you walk around. Let's say you're Tempest, you get a free hole off like that on 2-3 people. You're like, oh my god, it took Invis 4 minutes ago, but here's a hole, and then he just holds you. Or like, let's say you have Iron Shell, you use it both on yourself and your support, and you smoke gang somewhere. You know, kind of like that. So yeah, it is really good. We're gonna promote a lot of ganking, I would guess. Yeah, ganking.
And I think the 4-minute duration, I think, is something that people are going to underestimate as well. I mean, it's so easy to forget what happened 4 minutes ago, what rune was available, what rune this person might have, Ion Stone. And like you said, you get caught all of a sudden by 3 people that are invis because of an Ion Stone, and you're like, well, I had no clue that they had that 4 minutes ago. Because, I mean, you don't even realize. If you don't have a rune ward there, you don't even realize that person might have snagged that invisibility. They can leave it there for you or leave it for somebody else. Well, so it's going to create a lot of interesting.
Imagine the mid game, you have a carry, and your support's like Ion's a DD rune, and you just use it on him before the team fight.
That is true.
Or you invis, you're looking for a fight. You know, you just send a hero in. Like it creates a lot of aggressive possibilities with the Ion Stone.
Yeah. Or like, let's say the carry doesn't have a Geometer's Bane, and your team just took the rune, and then you'd be like, oh, let's go on the guy. He's right there. There's no way that's fake, but he Iron Stone. An illusion, and then you just go on an illusion. Can you imagine that?
Oh god.
Yeah.
You'd be like, that. I think Iron Stone has to be tweaked a lot, because I think it's pretty overpowered at the moment, and it's gonna be tweaked a lot before it's allowed to go in a competitive play. If it even is allowed to go there. So I think the item is just, by the way, like. We're just talking of all this, like theory crafting, all these things. It just seems so.
There's just so many things going. Yeah, Spell Center is one thing. It's like but I could see that eventually, popping in tournament rules, with even a couple of weeks, to be honest. But Ion Stone, not so much. Ion Stone, I think it's going to take a while before it even gets. So exactly, I definitely agree with you there. That's a dangerous item. I
think Iron Stone's like artillery level. I kind of don't believe artillery got in a competitive scene. I was like, he's gonna ruin so many games, man.
Nice.
Oh my god.
We'll see.
Have fun, Sunder.
Yeah.
What about what's more stupid than artillery?
What?
Cersei Moon Queen with Wingbow.
Oh yeah, Cersei. Oh my god. Oh, I forgot about Cersei. What competitive play? Are we gonna touch it or no?
I mean, we can. That's actually a good point. Cersei and Solomon, the other two heroes coming into the tournament rule. So if we want to talk about that real quick, we want to do that real quickly right here. I mean, Cersei and Solomon, they're being introduced to tournament rules. See, here's the thing. It's them and, of course, artillery. For me, it was like, I saw artillery, I'm like, yeah, we'll probably see him. Honestly, if Cersei and Solomon, I don't know. Solomon, I do see the idea that if you build a team around him to really just let him free farm. But ultimately, what is he going to do with all that free? He's very good at farming, but is he the most effective using that farm?
The hero is really strong if you can get the farm. Like, okay, I think I've seen people get 8-minute mock on the hero. And I'm not
fast.
I'm not kidding, 8-minute mock. That's what I've told the timing is. Maybe 10 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes. Anyways, the hero's kind of weak in the laning phase if you can go aggressive on him. But if you can get by the early game and, and get, like, say, like a mock, a BKB, and a refresher up, you can't kill him. Your BKB applies to your ultimate when you activate it, so you're really hard to kill, you're doing lots of damage. Then you refresh again, you can't die, and then you BKB again. Like, your hero's just really strong with farm. However, if you can stop him from farming, well, it's kind of like Dan Peter. He has a lot of power level to him, but he also has a lot of weaknesses.
Yeah.
So, again, though, is that going to be attractive enough to want to pick up this hero and try and make a competitive scene? Or are our teams just going to... That's what I'm getting at. It's like, I just feel like it's just maybe even too much of a risk. Like, let's just not worry, but let's just go to other heroes that are just more suited.
I think it's situational.
Yeah?
I think right now, so many teams are going to be scared of picking Tempest just because if the enemy team runs a Cersei and Solomon and free farms it, you can hit to angry testy 1500 GPM levels, and you're gonna have a trouble in your hands, basically.
Yeah.
It's like, say the other team picks like say Impact Sandwraith, for example, with a jungler. Like then you could pick Solomon. Like that's a situation where you could pick it. It's going to be very situational based, and it could be very effective if you pick it so wisely.
Beef, anything about Solomon?
I don't know. I'm still in this kind of boat. I said it a few months ago to somebody that asked me about Solomon that I feel like you just put so much resources into him and he just doesn't bring as much to the table as everybody else. And I still don't really fear a 800 gold per minute, 1,000 gold per minute Solomon. And until I see one that I'm really, truly terrified in the game, I don't know. We'll see.
I don't fear 1,000 gold per minute hero.
Yeah, I have to agree with Breaky here. Like in TMM, when I play against Solomon, it's pretty easy to deal with him sometimes, but in the hands of a good player, he's good, but, I mean, I'd rather have that one from a Dampier or Gemini, to be honest.
Yeah, I much more fear like Dampier at 600 gold per minute than 1,000 gold per minute Solomon.
Yeah, I think so too.
That's crazy to think that.
Alright, you guys can have your opinions. I think otherwise.
Yeah.
You're damn straight we can't, Sunder.
What's next?
I don't.
Cersei.
Cersei's the next one. I'll let Sunder. You can go first with this.
Okay. Well, with the decrease of early game push, that's going to make the hero just already be a lot better because he's not that good against push. He doesn't really do AoE damage. He has a lot of utility with the hero with like the invis and the copying illusions, and the immobilize is pretty strong, but it's single target. And the ultimate's really good in the mid game team fights if you can get the levels up. And he's obviously really strong with heroes like Moon Queen, illusion based heroes, and he's good against heroes like Tempest, for example. You know, they farm a lot, they farm well, and then you just copy. You know, you can become them. You know, obviously, but I don't think it'll be like, okay, guys, it's not gonna be like Engineer. It's not gonna be like, okay, we're gonna pick Cersei because Cersei's really good. It's gonna be like, we're gonna pick Cersei because Cersei's good in this game. We can get away with it. It's greedy, but we can get away with it. So.
Yeah. I think I agree with Cinder here. It's kind of like Wish there. And I take back my point about Solomon. I actually played against a Beekeeper Refresher, Solomon, Seafreak, and it was really, really imbalanced, especially Refresher. And I can see him doing work, it's just that early game, I don't know about his damage. But anyway, back to Cersei. I agree with Cinder, tend to touch on most of the points. If you can get away with it, it's really good. I mean, there's so many heroes now, which is like, if you can get away with it, it's really good. If you can get away with it, it's really good, you know? So, like, I don't know what to think. Like, I don't know what's gonna be picked up. Maybe, like, some teams will pick the most passive lineups versus the world's most passive lineups. Some teams will pick the most aggressive lineups again, and then the other team is forced to go out of their comfort zone. They can't pick Cersei or whatever. And I think it's just I actually really excited to see the next cycle of this change. And I think Cersei, he's really weak, to be honest, in the lane. He's so weak in the lane.
That's what I've heard.
I would rather, actually see him work in a dual lane, long lane.
Really?
Reason being, he gets an escape mechanism. I actually lane with a Cersei safe lane, completely useless. But when I'm laning against the Cersei in long lane, I could get farmed, sure, but the carry was getting farmed too. And whenever I tried to kill the carry, Cersei would just entrap me, and I would just sit there and look pretty. And when I tried to kill Cersei, she would go invisible, you know? Which is kind of annoying.
What about her ultimate? Because I feel like when this hero was first introduced, people were screaming OP, OP, like the fact that she could just take these abilities. Do you feel like, at least I feel like that was completely told off, that after she came out, people realized, oh, maybe it's not as practical as they were thinking it was in terms of being able to channel that not only, but then only give her 15 seconds. I mean, yes, it is 15 seconds, and in a lot of cases it can't work out. But do you think the ultimate's anything to be too concerned about, or is that just kind of a nice little feature for the hero?
Personally, when I play TMM against Cersei, and it doesn't matter whatever I play. Like if I'm playing a hero with a lot of farm, I go first thing in the team fight because I do not want to play. You know, it's just like it's so good. The hero can have any amount of farm, and he can become a hero with like a lot of farm in it. What is it? 70% effectiveness, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that, right? Numbers, it's like what you're making a support hero with low farm become such a high priority target, and that's giving so much more space in the team fight to the other heroes that have the farm. So, hero's pretty strong.
Yeah, I agree. I actually understand. Like, I actually agree with this. Like, who do I go on? And it's like same concept if against a Jerizaiya Ophelia lineup. Or if I go on a Jerizaiya, Ophelia's gonna heal him. If I go on a Ophelia, Jerizaiya's gonna repel an ulti. I have to go on a Jerizaiya. In this case, if you don't go on a Cersei, he's just gonna steal someone's abilities and become this 700 GPM Dark Lady or 700 GPM Moon Queen or 700 GPM Sand Wraith.
Yeah.
Especially against Sand Wraith because he's ulti the illusion from Sand Wraith. Like, what the hell, you know?
Yeah. That's true. I honestly, I would be lying if I said I overlooked it because, there's so many balance changes coming in this patch, but Cersei and Solomon are also coming in with the artillery even. So, really, it's going to be interesting to see where teams kind of go with these heroes. And it sounds like for all three, I mean, you guys are pretty on board. That the potential is most certainly there. And that's more than we've had in previous patches where like, heroes get introduced to tournament worlds. It's like, we probably won't see this guy, whatever. All right, so we'll see.
I don't know, though. We might all be wrong. And be like, oh my god, this so OP, and then, like, take a look at Pearl. Everyone's like, oh my god, Pearl competitive scene is gonna be so overpowered. Yeah. No one picked it, and then Cersei might be the exact same treatment as Pearl, you know?
That's true. Yeah, that's a good example.
I mean, Pearl's still a pretty strong hero. It just has the apparent weaknesses of not a lot of aggressive plays. But I think the heroes just, they need the right metagame, they need the right laning phase. It's just, is it there for them to shine, basically?
Oh, I just thought one of the viewers just said something that if the other team has a Tempest refresher, and you have a refresher on Cersei, you can actually have 4 holes in one game.
Just don't kill the Tempest.
Jeez.
Yeah, you just ulti and then you come back and you refresh and you steal Tempest again and boom, 4 holes.
It's like that's one of those things. Like on paper, yeah, that's amazing, but actually pulling that off in a match. Yeah,
we'll see it one day.
Difficult. We'll see it one day, perhaps.
DreamHack Center 2016.
I love that. All right, let's get back to items here. We are getting near the end, so I want to keep it going here. This one, a couple of not too many changes with this item, but Lex Talionis. It is an interesting one. I know both of you definitely have case of maybe every now and then picking it up. So Lex Talionis, the mana cost from 50 to 25, and then the range increased by 50. So not the biggest numbers in the world really, but is this a chance for maybe to see more of this item, or will this always still be kind of a niche item? Every now and then, Sunder?
Basically, the problem with Lex is it has really good abilities. Like, the power level is there. Like, the minus armor is good, and the minus magic armor is just, when you're playing a support, you want mana, you want mobility, and Lex just does not bring that. And but these buffs are just making it easier to cast, and it's reducing. Like, when you buy Lex, it doesn't give you any mana, so it's making less mana cost, so you can afford the mana cost on Lex. Lex is good against, like, say, like a 1-core lineup, say if they have, like, a Sand Wraith and 4 heroes to protect him. It's generally pretty good, but I don't think we're going to see it that often. Like, occasionally, it's not going to, like, make this item, like, picked a lot. It's just, the item, it is what it is. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not, and mostly it's not.
Moon?
Yeah. I think that Lex is only good at certain heroes. Like, I really like getting it on Glacius especially. And Empath, but when I play like Pyro or Engineer supports, I don't really don't like it, just because there's so many more better items. But as a Glacius or what was the second one again, Empath, I could see it working because I'm always at a distance from the enemy, especially Empath, because I can just do it when I'm inside someone and it won't apply to him. So, but at the same time, I would rather get a Business Skull or even a Teacher rather than Lex Talionis. So, and I feel like to make the item viable enough for in the competitive scene, maybe another 25 mana cost less, 0 mana cost item.
0 mana cost? Holy.
Would that be the worst thing in the world? I mean, I don't think it would be.
Look at the Dota 2 counterpart. It's what I think it gives you. It gives you HP regen and mana regen, right?
I have no.
Yeah,
clue.
mana. It gives you. Does it give you HP?
Yeah.
Does it?
No.
I think it gives you mana regen for sure, and
I think it's mana regen
-7
and
armor,
strength.
so it's way better.
So obviously you don't. I know it doesn't do minus magic armor, but the reason it's kind of viable in Dota is because it works on Roshan, and then the mana regen is what you need on supports. And it's still not picked that much. It's still like situational.
What is the item called in Dota, by the way? I'm not.
Medallion.
Medallion of Courage.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, personally, I like Lex on like MOA as like a third item. You get like Steam Boots, Push Book, Lex, but obviously that's a lot of farm. But I don't know. It's just the item. It's good as like a secondary. Like it's like you get it after push book on some heroes and.
I would actually like Lex to be more primarily focused on just minusing armor straight up, to be honest, instead of magic armor. Because, like, think about it. It gives Ring of Protection, I understand. Ring of the health regen component, I understand. But then when you Lex someone, you take away his magic armor and his armor. I rather just don't take away magic armor and just take away as much physical armor as you can. Maybe 6, maybe it goes from 3, 6, 9. Then I would see being more viable.
And also, I mean, with spell shards being changed, Lex is kind of out of place.
Yeah.
Exactly, I agree. Yeah.
So I would actually like a Lex rework.
Especially with like heroes with high armor, just so strong. That's why Pestilence is so good right now.
Yeah.
Because it just bursts through the armor. Well, like Shieldbreaker doesn't really offer that. Honestly, I honestly think that Shieldbreaker. This is not balanced. Actually, this is not balanced chat. What am I doing? This is a discussion chat. Patch. So let's talk about the patch.
Let's talk about the patch.
Yeah.
I could see Lex definitely going through rework though. I mean, I think again, this is just is this really that incentive to be like, okay, now guys, now you can really pick it. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I don't think it is either. So.
I don't think it's gonna be a big deal.
The rework idea is possible. We'll see. Again, I know it's running low on time here. Again, I don't want to go every single change, but so I think we can skip over Insanitarius. I think it's obviously that's.
You don't want to
nice
talk
buff.
about Lightbrand / Grimoire?
Did I not talk about? Oh yeah, that definitely is the next one. I apologize if I missed that. That's definitely a big one. There you go. Grimoire power. Yes, that is one we should definitely talk about because that is a impactful item to say the least. All right, so Grimoire power, just like its Lightbrand counterpart, or Lightbrand, the build-up to it, obviously, you got these nerfs to an extent as well. Dot damage from 35 to 20 per second. However, the dot damage changed to true damage instead of magic damage. And then at the Lightbrand stages, mana regen decreased on all build-ups of it, on top of the same concept with it being changed from magic to true and slightly less damage. So, Grimoire power, Lightbrand changes here. Sunder, what are your thoughts?
The idea S2 was looking behind, and it's like reduce farming capabilities, and obviously that's what it's gonna do. Less mana regen per second, which is really when you're playing Hag or you're playing another Grimoire hero and you're trying to farm and accelerate, you're gonna have to watch your mana a little bit more when you're aggressively farming, and that's gonna just decrease the amount of farm you have on your hero, or like you won't be able to join a team fight with full mana when you're farming with your Grimoire as much as you could before. And it's just going to make the item less effective. It's going to slow down the farming, which is going to help just bring it down a bit. The true damage, I think, doesn't really change the damage to heroes. Like, say in the last patch, if you had a Grimoire and the opposing hero had vestments, I'm pretty sure that's going to equal the damage that it does now with true damage.
Yeah, I just did the map. It's about the same.
So basically, if a hero had vestments before, it's going to be about the same now. And now it works on BKB, or Shrunken Head, so your true damage dot's going to apply if you're hitting a target with Shrunken Head up. However, it will not stop Portal Key. So, I mean, overall, maybe it's not the changes I would have done, but it's still what we need. Like, the item needs to be nerfed, and it's definitely not as good as it was before.
It's the nerf Newith deserves. Moon.
Yep. The mana regeneration, I still feel it's a little bit too high. It's a step in the right direction, however I feel it needs to be toned down a little bit more. But the dot damage with all vestments is actually less damage. People are like, oh my god, true damage is gonna be more overpowered. Actually, you're wrong. It does less damage for sure. With vestments, that's about the same. Unless the enemy team is Shaman Citrus, then yes, you'll be doing more damage. Against a Devourer, you'll be doing more damage. But other than all these like rare occasions, it is definitely a nerf.
Yeah. I want to clarify something. You said it doesn't stop Portal Key.
Yeah. Like, okay, so say if a hero has Shrunken Head and they have a Portal Key, and
with the Shrunken, okay.
The dot will not stop Portal Key.
What if they don't have a Shrunken Head?
Yeah, so if they don't have a Shrunken Head, though, it still would, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, yeah, okay. And there is somebody saying it again. I don't know how legitimate it is. Something about it not actually working with Shrunk. The true damage doesn't work on Shrunken Head. Panda said yesterday.
Really?
You know what? I do remember him actually making that comment.
He did.
It's kind of like the silence effect where, well, so it just won't work. Did he say? Do you remember Beef? It doesn't work at all.
He said that the application is still magic is still magic type, so that it can't be applied, and that it will be dispelled when the activation of the Shrunken Head. So it can't be applied, and it will be dispelled. So true damage doesn't do anything on Shrunken Head in this case.
Wait, so you're saying the damage just won't go through at all? Like the dot
damage from Grimoire does not go through Shrunken Head at all.
Oh, I thought it was okay. I thought it would work differently. Okay.
All right, that's good.
I thought it was superior magic, but
apparently no. Yeah, I do remember Panda talking about that. Yeah, so thanks to whoever that was in chat bringing that up. And tobacco. There you go. All right, so yeah, Grimoire Power. I think it's the nerfs here. Next item on the list I had, I think it's worth going over. Unless, okay, it's like I said, the sanitary, you know, that changed there. A nice change to that. Null Fire Blade, though, the next one in line. Get some discussion out of that, at least a little bit. So Null Fire Blade, this got some pretty good buffs, actually. I mean, once it loads up right here. But the duration, I think, is what? So 20 seconds down to 14 seconds. Yeah, here we go. Duration from, or cooldown, I should say, from 20 to 14 seconds. Range increased by 100, and then the cost even reduced by 100. So, again, this is definitely a case of, hey, guys, this item here, it's a really good item. Here's even more reason to pick it up. Moon, what are your thoughts on the Null Fire changes?
It's one of my favorite items in the game, just because, along with Jarmina's been a portal key, because he does one of those items where you outplay the enemy team, just because you can purge slows off you, or you do something really unexpected with your Null Fire Blade. But you really strong utility items on a lot of heroes, and I think it's one of the counters to Energizers, in my opinion. At least I use it as a counter to Energizer, and I think we're gonna see a lot more Null Fire Blades in the competitive scene. Previously, if you pick up Null Fire Blade on Scout, people would be like, "Oh my God, you should just win Shrunken Head Basher, it's way better." But now people will be like, "Yeah, it's good." And I definitely see it way more. And once again, this is a direct. It's also gonna nerf Keeper of the Forest and Tempest even more, just because it's got better and cheaper. So yeah, good item.
Sunder?
you know, Null Fire is pretty picked up a lot. It's really strong, but a lot of times it just doesn't cut it for when you're playing a carry hero with farm and you want your item progression. It's actually pretty strong on utility heroes against, like, say, like a sheepstick. Something that we don't really get to see that often, but yeah, I mean, maybe this will be the push that's needed to bring it into the competitive scene. It's a really strong item. It's just, for whatever reason, other items have been just above it, or it's just never really fit the game, and it's not been picked up that much.
Yeah.
I think it's because a huge part of it is just illusions and mana burn just don't work the same just like in Dota 2, you know? Where like now Fire Blade or the equivalent in Dota 2, when your illusions hit, they burn the full mana. Now in Hana, it's like 1/3, or I don't even know whether it even burns with now Fire Blade. So maybe if they change that mechanic and put it back from like 1/3, illusions do full mana burn, or like 50%, we'll see now Fire Blade picked up even more.
Is Pestilence Sprint purgeable?
Yes.
It's stealable, so I'd assume so.
Right. I mean, honestly,
Parasite, yeah.
Yes.
we're seeing a lot more strength heroes, and No Fire Blade's really good against strength heroes, and because of their low mana pool. So right now, with the return of heroes like Pestilence, you know, this could be the return of No Fire Blade.
Again, this is definitely one of these things, like I said, a couple of these. It's like, this item's good. Here's even more reason now to pick it up, so we'll see. You bring up a good, interesting point about the illusions and how the counterpart works with that, but yes, it is a little less effective, obviously, with Han in that sense. But yeah, again, just thing to note about the cost decrease as well. That's for the pattern, so for both levels. So for both the first and the second level, it's in the sense 200 gold less even at the level 2 Null Fire Blade. So there you go. All right, so Null Fire Blade out of the way there. We got another one we've already been talking about a little bit here. Spell Shards next on the list. There we go. Spell Shards here. So Spell Shards definitely getting, I mean, kind of reworked really to an extent as far as what it does. So you see right here, not that one. There we go. Spell penetration changed from 246 to 50% of the target's magic armor. No longer has upgrades, and the recipe costs from 800 to 1200 because of that. So you no longer have to upgrade this item, but it is 400 gold more expensive at that first level just to get the full item itself. So yeah, you've been sounding like both of you even have been making. I mean, is spell shards an item we're actually going to start seeing more now? You think?
Oh, it's going to be seen so much. It's like
Yeah.
I pick it up like previously. Basically, long ago, Moonmeander used to play a huge variety of heroes, you know, like stuff like that and Chipper. But people started picking vestments up, and then they started turtling vestments and their stupid Helmet of the Black Leaders. It became so hard to kill them. You could never win a game by yourself picking Bombardier or Thunderbringer because they're just so tanky when they get vestments. Now, today when I played the TMM game, I got spell shards. Even with Shaman's Headdress, because they got it against me, I just burst through it with spell shards. Because I have the effectiveness, the magic armor basically is half for me. I don't really care if they have a Shaman's Headdress, they have 2k HP, they have vestments, they still die, and it's a huge part of it. And I love it because it makes so many more heroes viable, like even like Midas, on top of the buffs you're getting, way more viable.
Thunderbringer.
Thunderbringer, even Torturous, even Parasite spell shots is good now. I would imagine.
Sunder, feel the same?
Sorry. No, I agree. I think the item might make Grimoire being less picked up as well. Just increase Grimoire will probably be picked up a lot, but I think it'll create more options for different heroes to go, say, like the spell shards, and when spell Sunder's out, like those two items like together instead of like Grimoire, and yeah, I think this will help push out new heroes onto the scene. So
Yeah.
and just on top of what Moon said, so I think that just definitely what the item needed is going to help, and it's going to help a lot.
Yeah. Now, again, to clarify, as far as it being effective against like a Mystic Vestments, I believe so at the compared to a level 1 spell shards, it's actually or what is it? If you had a level 2 or 3 spell shards, it's actually more expected to have the previous spell shards against Mystic Vestments. But compared to a level 1 spell shards, now to this one, this is actually more effective, if I'm doing that correctly, I believe. Because it only gave -2 magic armor on level 1 spell shards. So, but for a full Shaman's Headdress, yeah, the idea of getting a spell shards at this point is more effective.
And it's also just cheaper, right?
And it's just cheap. Exactly. That's the biggest thing. Like that people, when they make that argument, it's like, well, sure, it's 400 gold more for that first level, but that's the full item now, and you're getting that effectiveness of it.
And then you can just continue on your item progression.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's something that's very important to keep in mind, rather than having to level up and buy more patterns for it. So. All right, so spell shards out of the works. Definitely, so it sounds like, again, Moon, especially both of you, even that an item that we can definitely start seeing a lot more of. Staff of the Master, I don't know if that's too...
I think the rally one is
okay.
significant.
Let's bring it up then. So we got Staff of the Master, we got the 3 Staff of the Master changes. You said the rally one really interests you. Seismic Slam range for 250 to 500 and a damage increase by 200. So really, rally, you think this is an item that could be picked up on rally?
I think this... You don't think so?
We'll start with Sander.
Alright. I don't know, I just think, like, the issue with Rally still will be that it's hard to get the LD off sometimes, but the range, I don't know, I just think it's gonna...
The range is pretty big.
You're gonna hit more heroes in a team fight, you're gonna deal a little bit more damage, but, I don't know, I think I feel like it could be what the hero needed, and, like, items you buy in the hero just don't really help you that much. Even like a demonic breastplate doesn't really help you do much. Doesn't help you a lot in terms of damage output. It's more for the team. Whereas I feel like this will just make your hero more effective. And sure, I agree. At times it is hard to get your seismic slam off, but maybe you could go a portal key BKB staff or portal key staff shrunken head. You compel in. Mm-hmm. You stun, you cast your ultimate with your shrunken head up, and then you're just doing tons of damage to a lot of heroes. And maybe it won't be what the hero needed, but I think this does help the issue of you don't really know what items to buy on Rally to get your ultimate off and to be good enough. And I think this could be the push you needed.
Yeah. Moon, do you have any? Think that's possible there?
I think it's still too much farm. I did confirm the item.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's gonna be just like Sandrift. Trolls off the master, I don't want to buy it.
Yeah.
All right.
Pyromancer on the other hand,
Yeah.
I think it's that one.
I brought that up yesterday. Man. I think the Pyromancer one, because, I mean, you'll get the damage buff on top of this.
Mm-hmm.
It's not bad. I mean,
600 radius is actually pretty big.
it's pretty big.
I definitely gonna buy spell shards, start the master, refresher, and pyro.
Yeah.
No more Grimoire?
No more Grimoire. No,
Grimoire not
it's not worth it
necessary.
anymore. I don't like it. I
It's
really
just
get
the
stuck.
farming, really.
Yeah, you just need Grimoire for like those late game carries where you just farm, you know.
Mhm.
But Pyromancer, I think I'm fine with my farming mechanic with WQ. The only
Yeah,
thing I need.
And you're gonna have enough mana with those items you're buying.
Yeah, with spell shards and it's enough mana because it gives so much mana regen spell shards, and then spell shards, refresher, start the master, and woo, fire baby. It will be actual pyromancer.
I love seeing
Pyromancer will
this.
actually be viable because
Yeah.
you can actually carry a late game with a spell pyromancer. You know,
Yeah.
I think spell shards is just amazing, man. Just makes AP carries, like ability power carries, just so much more viable. Honestly, I love it. And I
Yeah.
love to stop the master on pyromancer. So
Yeah,
good.
I agree with that. I think the Stab of the Master and Pyromancer could be fun to see, especially. The Succubus, you know, again, 900 more range. That is cool, but I don't think that's really worth discussing necessarily.
No.
Just gonna ult from trees so much.
That crazy ult range now.
Hey, that's actually I think that's huge for Succubus, to be honest.
Yeah.
Actually, I brought this up.
Okay.
Balance thing. Like I was like, what does stuff the Master Succubus so useless? Increase damage. Why might as well buy Grimoire? And then I was like, in Dota 2 is like this, and then now they did it to Dota 2 style, except it's a little bit less than Dota 2, but it's a step in the right direction because now a second support Succubus, if you have stopped the Master, you would directly counter hard initiation. For example, Pestilence jumping in and shotgun hit, don't matter. I've stopped the Master. I'm so far away. You jump my carry, I immediately ulti you. Pestilence shotgun hit. Your shotgun hit is gonna be useless because I'm ulting you, and you're just gonna die. So I think Succubus is way more viable after this, and maybe if you can pick it as a second support and get them on a farm you need, you can see Jonas and Van picking it up and playing as a suicide even, to be honest. And yeah, I would love to see Jonas picking up South the Master on Succubus.
I mean, the
Is
275
Jonas your
range
favorite
is
suicide?
pretty big.
What? What did Beef
Well, I
say?
mean-
I said, is Jonas your favorite suicide, Moon? Like every time, like we come up with something, it's only Jonas doing it. No other suicides, but you can see Jonas doing it.
He's the innovator. I mean, he tries stuff, man.
All right.
Sender, you wanted to follow up that?
Oh no, I mean I think Moon is right. This could be actually a pretty big buff, but you still have to keep in mind it is 4,000 gold, and probably like a shrunken head is probably more core than this in a lot of situations. But you know, this potentially could be a good item for the hero.
Yeah. All right, we got the last one here. We got the final one.
Save the best for
We've
last.
made it to the end, and we're done. All right, see you later. No. Here it is, Wingbow. Wingbow getting changed. Getting buffed even. Ranged heroes. Increases attack range by 100. Yes, you are reading that correctly. Increases attack range by 100. Melee heroes. Reflex 25% of the damage attempted when you evade attack. Savage May is still good. Ranged heroes, though. I think that's the big one that a lot of people obviously have a lot of opinions about. Sender, we'll start with you. What do you think about this?
I mean, I look at heroes and like this is a really cool idea, and it's really strong. However, I fear it might be a little bit too strong. You look at heroes like Moon Queen, you know, 350 range up to 450 range, a range buff with heroes that have low range. Like, it's just an inherent buff to these heroes by like a ton. These heroes have low ranges for a reason because they have really strong abilities, and it's how you balance how the game balanced it out. And you're gonna have silhouettes with huge amounts of ranges, and Flint Beastwood, Arachna, and it's these heroes that are hard to catch, and they're just gonna be hitting you from more range. And you know, it might be too strong, but just time will tell.
Moon, what do you think?
I think that many people might disagree with me, but I think carries. I think this is good. It's a good buff because carries fell out, especially with Grimoire being retardedly overpowered. Now with Grimoire nerf, we're gonna see falling out of the Grimoire carries, Hag, Doctor, and I think we're gonna see a resurgence of agility carries. Moon Queen, like Senator said.
Have they been
Maybe-
gone though? I mean,
Yeah,
Moon Queen, Corrupted Disciple.
Corrupted has been in the game just because, like, it's a really strong mid-game hero with that only requires shotgun head. But you don't only pick up Wingbow and Corrupted. You pick up your Thunderbringer, Energizer, shotgun head, Genjiro, and then Savage Mace. You don't or Demonic. You don't pick
Or staff.
or staff. You don't really think of the Wingbow. Like same thing with like even Moon Queen. Like when I see people play it, like Fuzi against CD, you don't pick up the Wingbow. Why? Because you should pick up a Genjiro. It's just so much better. You don't pick up Wingbow because it's just not a good item. Like it's like a shiny Wingbow. It's cool and all. It's all green and stuff, but it's not a really good item. But with this buff, we might see a shift in the metagame, which we really desperately needed to see. Moon Queen definitely going to be a way better hero. Flint Beastwood is going to have insane attack range, so I can't wait to play it on stream. And then,
I mean, Soul Stealer too, even.
yeah, Sorcerer too. And people, and not only that, the agility carries, you know, with Wingbow, like let me take a look here. Like, let's say if you have a lot of trouble with, like, let's say Magebane, perfect hero. I'm really like you really hesitant to attack the Magebane because first of all he's gonna dodge your attack. Second of all he's reflecting
So
the damage.
you think the
back to
melee
you.
version of this is actually really big too?
Exactly, it's
Yeah.
huge. I think.
What about Sandwraith with Wingbow?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Cinder Wingbow. As you, on top of some reflecting damage already, you evade, you get damage back. You hit him, you take even more that you take damage back as well.
What-
So
What
yeah.
about what about the idea though? Because Savage Mace has always been that counterpart, that counter item to Wingbow. The melee version of this specifically, you know, now whereas it affects the melee version still even more so, you can argue, because now there's even an extra benefit, so even more reason to get a Savage Mace. A ranged hero though still gets that 100 range though in the end. Do you think that's a little unfair?
It's a little bit unfair, yeah. I think it's a little bit unfair. You're right, 100%. And I think previously Savage Mage pretty much made Wingbow back. Everyone was like, "Oh my god, they pick Wingbow so bad. You're just gonna buy Savage Mage." And like everyone's in the Honcast has like flaming the guy who picks up Wingbow, like, "Oh, he wasted 5.68 gold. What a dumbass!" And then blah blah blah. But now, even if the other team is a Savage Mage and I'm a Soul Stealer, I wanted Wingbow and to get 100 plus range from it. It's even if you have Savage Mage, I don't give a damn if you're Savage Mage. I have 650 attack range on Soul Stealer. You know?
Yeah.
That's how insane the item is. And I can farm the item on Soul Stealer. That's the best part of it. So I say Soul Stealer, Moon Queen, definitely way more viable. We're going to see longer games. And we're going to see more carries. And
Yeah.
we're going to see...
I think for like melee carries, like I think you know, there's a lot of heroes in the game that just don't want to get Savage Mace. Like say like a Berserker, who's a hero that's up and coming.
Yeah.
Could you imagine like you're a melee carry with like a Wingbow versus a Berserker like that? I would not want to be that Berserker.
Yeah. You just take so much damage.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, this is definitely a big change, and you know, I think it's safe to say it's an item that maybe, as far as a luxury item goes, you know, it's definitely hasn't been the most popular. But I mean, dude, you did make a great point. I mean, although I think it's you know, we do still have the Moon Queens and Corrupted Disciples by all means, Sandray too, you know, making some appearances, but you know, overall the game is not necessarily built around hard carries like it maybe used to be with the Dark Ladies, the Mage Banes,
Yeah.
and whatnot.
We're going to see FA, Flint Beastwood.
Yeah. Flint Beastwood, do you think this is enough for Flint to be making a comeback?
910 range.
Pretty ridiculous. That's pretty ridiculous. That's pretty crazy.
If you've seen the Smuggler Flint avatar, you shoot laser beams.
Yeah.
From 910 range away. It's like a whole screen, man.
Oh my gosh.
Artillery is the worst, but
But how does it work with like say Shadowblade?
We went over that. Panda made the point that it works exactly like any other item would, in that sense, where it will work in his ranged form. He'll get the 100 more range, and range form when he's in melee form, he'll have the 25% reflex chance.
That's
so.
pretty cool.
Yeah, so Shadowplay is actually another hero where it's definitely very viable on, that's for sure.
Oh, some viewer just missed. What about like a Bushwhack with Wingbow? It's got a pretty big range buff too, because he's what 500. So
yeah. Again, it's a buff to all ranged carries. That's no doubt.
I think
That is no doubt.
I think this Wingbow change is gonna push heroes into like a lot of heroes that need the range into the game, but it's also gonna take heroes out that need to get that like don't want to buy Savage Mace. Because like if you're a melee hero with a Wingbow, and you're versus a hero that just doesn't want to buy Savage Mace, that's a pretty big hindrance. Because either they buy the Savage Mace and it's like not the ideal item, or they're just reflecting damage onto themselves.
That's actually a really good point, Sunder. Especially when people are not picking any carries whatsoever at the moment. They have their Pestilence and then they have a Suicide Grenex or stuff like that. You don't want to pick Savage Mace up on all those heroes like a Kraken on the step. You want to pick a Savage Mace up on a hero which benefits really, well, like for example, a Predator, you know, or for example, like even Socialist doesn't even benefit from like a Silhouette, for example. You know, everyone picks carries, Wingbow. I pick a Silhouette. You know, 600 range. I have a Savage Mace. We go late game. Boom, boom. I'm gonna out carry you because you have a Wingbow. So what? I have a Silhouette Savage Mace. I directly counter you. So maybe you're gonna see Silhouette in return, and Hextron's definitely gonna be happy about that. Maybe even Silhouette Savage Mace Wingbow. Who knows?
All right, so
that's pretty scary.
So you guys, so Moon, I mean, Moon, you clearly love this. Cinder, do you love this change, or are you kind of on the fence?
I mean, I think it's a really cool change, and I think it adds a lot of great interactions with the game, and it could change a lot of how heroes pick up items and carry like heroes that are even picked. I just fear it might be too strong, and I don't know. I think it's fun for sure.
I agree. Like now we're gonna go back to the old days of Han where. Like when this person picks this carry and it's gonna be a carry versus carry, and we're gonna see a little bit of mind games from now on, like which carry is gonna get the right items. Like let's say Mage versus Dark Lady, it's always fun to see that matchup, where we guess what hero is gonna go with what items. Now, like previously, we would see like, oh, they're gonna go Blink Dagger, okay, into his Shrunken Head. All right, next is Bulwark. It's just so obvious. Now, you know, you never know. You know, if one guy goes Savage Mace, one guy goes Savage Wingbow, and
it's gonna be fun.
I like that aspect. Yeah, it's gonna be way more fun. It adds a lot of flavor into the game, and that's a lot. Like Sander said, what do you say? Interaction or
interaction between heroes and item pickups.
I love that. Yeah, love the comment. Yeah, it's really good.
Hey, Han Tour again kicks. Teams are gonna have a little bit of time here to even obviously will be the holidays and whatnot, but you know, get some time in and
cannot wait.
Start with Cycle 9. 2 more cycles to go, then there's the playoffs after that, and then, of course, even the Global Grand Finals. There's plenty of good Han coming up. That's going to include this patch and whatnot, so that is going to be fun. Whew, we made it. Once again, just like yesterday, it took a little bit longer than expected. Thank you guys, though, for sticking in there with the grind, and obviously I'm sure the viewers enjoyed it. Definitely had some good discussions here, and went over the patch and a lot of the major changes at least, and again, there's still even more. The patch notes are on the general forums, guys. They're on a sticky post. You can check out all the changes if you want on the forums if you haven't yet. And again, we're going to see that coming into play, especially with Haunter at the beginning of January. Hell, we're going to see it coming into play even tomorrow here on Honcast with the Ultimate Series, which I'll get into in just a second. But before we do all that, of course, want to give our co-casters a chance here now to kind of give their final words and perhaps any shout-outs you guys have. So, Sender, we'll start with you. Anything you want to say here?
Let's see. I'll just give a shout out to First Pew because he asked me like 3 times and I wouldn't want to say no. And then let's see the list: Brendan, Z Freak, The Island, and I think that's it. I don't think I missed anyone. Hope I don't miss anyone. That's it.
Right. Beef, we'll go to you next. What do you got, Beef?
Thanks for having me on, as always. Thanks to the viewers for sticking around and watching, to Moon and Sender for providing awesome opinions. Shout out to my neighbors next door who were throwing heavy machinery off of the mountain in the middle of the cast. That was what those noises were. So that's about it. Yep.
Nice. Yeah, we didn't hear anything. I mean, pretty good,
it was odd.
Good headphones there, I guess. So
it was really odd.
Hey, you made it, though.
Shout out to the Sound Blaster headphones.
Exactly. As far as myself goes, I mean, I definitely want to shout out to you guys again for tuning in. We had a lot of fun here. Definitely a big shout out to Center and Moonmeander for joining us and giving their insight. And looking forward to, again, continuing on with this patch. It's going to be fun. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're wrapping. No, I'm just kidding. I can't do that. Moonmeander, your final words.
Shout out to S2 for this nice, awesome patch. I wish you guys would do this more often. Maybe every 2 weeks. And this game,
This big of a patch every 2 weeks?
not this big of a
Okay.
patch, but like little changes every 2 weeks. So maybe 2 weeks later, we find out Wingbow's too overpowered. We tone it down by 25 range instead of taking like months to do it.
Yeah.
If we do it every 22 weeks, let's say we discover Oogie's too much, or we discover that, okay, Gemini's too overpowered, we gotta do something, and that would be awesome, because this patch was definitely a step in the right direction to make Han more flavorful, make more heroes viable, make the hero pool bigger, make TMM more enjoyable, and if this keeps up at this pace, I can actually see Han doing better. And also shout out to Bearkeep for having me here, and shout out to the Moon Army. Thanks for your support, and shout out to Moonmeander, and shout out to Moon Queen Isabel, and shout out to a B Kid. Yes,
There you go.
B Kid.
That's it?
That's it.
All right, we're good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, are you going to be streaming, by the way? Any advertisements on that? Going to be going back to your stream, Moon?
Yeah, I guess. Maybe not actually. I don't think so.
Okay. Okay.
I think I'm done with it. All you guys watching, I think I'm done. I got stuff to do.
Busy man.
Yeah.
Understandable. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be wrapping up here once again the Honcast podcast in the books here. So like I was saying earlier, though, we are going to be coming back tomorrow, actually, here on Honcast. I believe we're set for the round of 8, so the later round from the Ultimate Series. That's going to be at 3 p.m. Eastern, 21